Greetings once again, family. As usual, shalom, salam, namaste, hotep, rahubat, que pasó, que pasa, depending whether you're a senor or senorita. Whatever language you equate to mean basically peace and greetings. Today is now August 13, 2017 AD. AD standing for Anno Domini on the Julian Gregorian calendar. And you already know I use a 13 moon calendar with a Marrakesh year, which equates to the 19th day of the magnetic moon, year 1438 AH, and that's I know Hajiri on the 13 moon calendar with a Marrakesh year. As you all know, something's always going on. Something's always taking place. I chose to entitle this particular monologue as the current provocative U.S. threat to North Korea and the 72nd anniversary of the U.S. bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Again, the current provocative U.S. threat to North Korea and the 72nd anniversary of the U.S. bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. I mean, this stuff is all over the news, so I'm quite sure y'all heard Trump's words, North Korea best not make any more threats to the United States. Trump said from his golf resort in Bedminster, New Jersey. And he continued that they will be met with fire and fury like the world has never seen. 62 Democrats delivered a message to Trump calling his words belligerent and reckless. Remember, Trump is saying these words while he's laying up at his exclusive golf resort with the rest of his capitalist criminal blood-sucking buddies in New Jersey. You all may already know the New Jersey Governor Christie. You know, this fat bastard, Chris Christie, did a 180-degree turn and all of a sudden started supporting Trump. Okay, he didn't even like Trump at first, but miraculously, Trump did his wicked magic. Okay, and then now all of a sudden Christie is doing things that he never did before, like he declared a New Jersey beach, off limits due to a publicly off limits due to a so-called government shutdown. But then he turns around and him and his family enjoys the whole exclusive beach, about 7 people, after he didn't psychologically manipulate the people to stay off the beach. You know, things like that. Trump loves people like that in his cabinet. He needs people like that. Yes men in his cabinet. Sadistic yes men. But anyway, another governor in West Virginia just crossed campaign lines and went from Democrat to Republican. You know, so I wonder what kind of bug Trump put in his ear. You know, Trump is like Satan, man. Trump is like Satan. He come to your town and see you, no matter what you thought before you got there, and automatically, you know, all of a sudden you done a 180-degree turn in front of everybody. It's like you was an apple. When Trump see you, now you all of a sudden you're orange. You know, so what's that all about? It's like mafia style, extortion or something. That's what the mafia do. Mafia come and suggest you do something. You're so scared of what they're gonna do to you. You know, you just comply. I mean, you might end up floating in a river somewhere. You know. Anyway, as you all already know, there was a state of emergency declared when a car plowed into a group of protesters at the white nationalist rally in West Virginia yesterday, Saturday, leaving 1 to 3 dead and like 19 injured. A melanin-rich Asiatic sister was carried out on a stretcher in a river of tears after being senselessly injured in this foolish melee. You know, she didn't know what time it is. You know, and this is what I'm seeing. Our people don't understand what's taking place on this landmass, and we always in the wrong place at the wrong time. We already got an improper status, no lawful nationality. We out of place already. You can't be running to these events and not taking in consideration what's taking place in North America right now. Something very serious. I say divine, but I know it's very serious that's taking place in North America. This damn genetically recessive, unnatural white person is like a trapped rat in the corner, very desperate to try to claim some type of entitlement here. It's all been a lie. They have no entitlement here, you know, unless they're going to take second fiddle to the original people. But only way they don't have to play second fiddle to the original people is if something takes place like a colonial designation of Negro, black, colored, then they can appear to be the sovereigns of this land. But they are truly psychotic. I mean, I don't trust them. I don't trust them. They're like animals. And now they're desperate. Things are closing in. The economy, you know, they done been duped. And they're like a scared animal. So these events, I wouldn't run down to these events as if, you know, like a Black Lives Matter rally. I wouldn't do that. But now the sisters caught up in this mess, hurt, you know, trying to be a spectator, whatever she was doing. But anyway, the caveman and head racist Donald Trump disingenuously denounced the acts, but he's the one who spurred all this racist sentiment in the first place, even before he was selected. Okay, former Ku Klux Klan leader David Duke struck that at Trump for condemning a white nationalist rally, saying that it was white nationalists who put him in the presidency. So even David Duke, he's like a former grand wizard with the famous separatist hate group, white nationalist hate group, Ku Klux Klan. He's taking shots at Trump, saying, hey, we put you in there. White nationalists put you in there. How can you diss us? You see, so, you know, Trump got some heat on him because he's ignorant, you know. He did all this rebel rousing and instigating violence, if I ever seen it directly, and he don't think for him to be a so-called president of a corporation is not a country. He didn't understand the ramifications of his mannerisms, of his energy, and now look what he did. So it's like it looks like the second round of chickens coming home to roost to me. You reap what you sow. Now the West Virginia governor is on Trump's behind and blaming Trump. Governor of West Virginia is blaming Trump. See, he didn't see all this coming. And people are responding to his negative caveman energy, racist energy, you know, white supremacist energy. They're playing directly off of him. He's spurring it, directly and indirectly. So you reap what you sow. But cavemen like Donald Trump don't, due to his genetic dysfunctionality, cannot acknowledge the science of karma. But anyway, that's another show within itself. Moving right along. As North Korea intensifies its missile program, the U.S. opens an $11 billion base in North Korea. That's a yahoo.com article. And I'm going to read a little bit to you talking about North Korea and what's going on with North Korea, why the U.S. beast is hell-bent on messing with these people. Pardon me 1 second. Okay, again, this article is as North Korea intensifies its missile program, the U.S. opens an $11 billion base in South Korea. It says Camp Humphreys, South Korea. I mean, you can see it's exploited right there. Humphreys, Camp Humphreys. This small American city has 4 schools and 5 churches. Okay, it got churches there, so you know it's Christianity. And Arby's, a Taco Bell, and a Burger King. This grocery store is offering a deal on Budweiser, more American capitalism, as the temperature soars. And out front, there is a promotion of Ford Mustangs, even more colonial corporations over there, Ford. But for all its invocations of the American heartland, they're calling it an American heartland, this growing town is in the middle of the South Korean countryside, in an area that was famous for growing huge grapes. We built an entire city from scratch, said Colonel Scott Muller, garrison commander of Camp Humphreys, one of the U.S. military's largest overseas construction projects. So you got a genetically recessive white man over there, U.S. of course, proudly claiming that they built the entire city from scratch on Asian soil. And Colonel Scott W. Muller, M-U-E-L-L-E-R, I've already told you all before, y'all can Google the etymology of that name, and it's gonna most likely take you over to Austria somewhere. So he sounds very Nazi. Muller, I know, is from over there. You know, a lot of Nazis named Muller. So continuing with this art, well, that's all I have for that article. But if you notice in this article, this small, they're calling it an American city, small American city. 4 schools, 5 churches, but in Arby's, Taco Bell, and Burger King. See, that's what the U.S. do. They trick you out and put all that poison everywhere they go. They got to bring their poison, Western style poison. You know, U.S. Christian poison. That fast food, processed food that kill you in the long run. Arby's, Taco Bell, Wendy's, Burger King, and processed food that's laminated with plastic. You know, and you can't break that stuff down. It just depletes your life. You know, so that's what the beast bring when he come under the guise of Christianity. So South Korea is clearly a proxy for the U.S. Christian capitalist criminal West. This article mentions that it has all of the processed food corporation all-stars over there selling these people plastic, synthetically coated food to destroy their digestive system. What does this have to do with the love of a so-called Jesus Christ? We all know that the ancient people of Asia has some of the most natural, holistic foods, herbs, and medicines, which has been passed down in their dietary customs and culture for many hundreds of thousands of years. Then along comes unmistakably Satan, U.S. United Snakes with their devilish poison in the form of fast processed food to deplete their life longevity for generations to come. And this is spreading the gospel of Jesus Christ. And I must note here, there's a fast food restaurant that I frequent for table space and internet access, and I'm not going to tell you the famous name of it. You'll know obviously what it is, but you see all these black holy roller church folk in there every Sunday and all during the week sucking down those dead flesh animal burgers and french fries coated with plastic preservatives and processed styrofoam McNuggets. But these are supposed to be saved, sanctified, spiritual people filled with a ghost that I need to identify with. You know, these fake Negroes are filled with synthetic processed bullshit. Then they got a nerve to proselytize to you a fabricated synthetic bullshit ideology that has been processed and regurgitated about 100 times and has very little spiritual nutrition in it. And the U.S. is proud to use these hypocrite Negroes as consumer animals grazing in the corporate pastures, making Wendy's owner Dave Thomas and the owner of McDonald's trillionaires for their offspring and for their generations to come. This is what Donald Trump is all about, keeping U.S. Negroes as the cash cows for him and his 1 to 5% global scum elite and their progeny. And whether you know it or not, progeny means offspring. So I got a treat for y'all today. Martin Luther King speech. This is a Christian Baptist preacher speech, why I am opposed to the war in Vietnam, which is YouTube. I suggest you all look at it because this was truly a treat. I mean, I've been paraphrasing bits and pieces of this speech, but I'm glad I heard the whole thing. At least this is most of it, 22 minutes of it anyway. Because what I'm hearing this man is, this is not a Christian man. I'm hearing spirituality come out this man and morality come out this man that I can identify with. And I already told y'all I'm not Christian. Yeah, I'm not Christian. I'm not in no religious box. I'm not Christian. I'm not Muslim or Muslim, even though I do acknowledge Islam being an ancient science, which can very much tie our people to ancient customs and ancient cultures. So I have no problem with it. And I did say I'm a Muslim. If you look at the word meaning being of peace or entity of peace, I am a Muslim in that aspect. But Christianity is modern. I don't want nothing to do with it. I mean, anything ancient, I'll take. Buddhism, Judaism, Hinduism. But no, definitely no Christianity. Anyway, very interesting speech, and the things this man is saying is strikingly relevant to today. And you know, I was pretty blown away by the words out of this man's mouth. Again, what's coming out of him is not Christian. It's spiritual, it's moral, it's bigger than Christianity. Christianity is an understatement to say, to try to describe what's emanating from this man in this speech. I see why he lost his life. Anyway, I made some highlights from the speech, and I'm just going to begin. This is King speaking. King said the time has come for the United States, supposedly America. He said America, but it's really the United States, because the continent of America has been getting this bad press. And America ain't doing nothing. America's a beautiful place, Fountain of Youth, Turtle Island, Mexican, whatever, but America ain't did nothing to nobody. The United Snakes of America is an unseen hand that is commandeered America that's doing all this. But anyway, King said the time has come for the United States to hear the truth about the war. He said, I chose to preach today about the Vietnam War because I agree with the saying that the hottest places in hell are reserved for those who in a period of moral crisis maintain their neutrality. Wow, that's deep. That's deep. Continuing, he says, there comes a time where silence is betrayal. Okay, but the statement he said previously that he agreed or acknowledged the saying that the hottest places in hell are reserved for those who in a period of moral crisis maintain their neutrality, he's really describing being a hypocrite. That's a hypocrite. You know, in a time of moral crisis, you ain't saying nothing. That's a whole lot of hypocrites today. Especially all them other 501c3 mega Negro preachers. TD Fakes and TD Snakes, whatever his name is, and you know, Jamal Bryan of Baltimore. Yeah, he says a few things, but come on, they ain't ready to throw down. But continuing, King says there comes a time where silence is betrayal. Men do not easily assume the task of opposing their government's policy, especially in the times of war. Notice he's smart enough to say policy because he's talking about corporate policies, not law. But he says there has never been such a monumental dissent during a war by the American people. Polls reveal that almost 15 million Americans explicitly oppose the war in Vietnam. There are those who chose to equate dissent with disloyalty. Continuing, it's a dark day in our nation when high-level authorities will use every method to seek to silence acts of dissent. Something is happening and people are not going to be silent. The truth must be told. So again, Christianity and truth don't share the same space. If this man is standing on morality and truth, then what's coming out of him is clearly not Christianity. You know what I mean? He's larger than that. Just like anybody, any one of us, anybody else. He's growing. Something's moving in him, moving within him that I can identify with. Continuing, many people have questioned me about the wisdom of my path, why I chose to speak out against the war. He referred to the U.S. obsession for war in Vietnam as a demonic destruction suction tube. He said the U.S. spends $500,000 to kill each enemy soldier, but they spend like $53 on each poor person domestically. And then he said much of that $53 goes to pay the salaries of people who are not even poor. So he said he was increasingly compelled to see the Vietnam War as a war against the poor, and he attacked it as such. Okay, that's definitely not a Christian principle, because he's not talking about no turn the other cheek. When he said he attacked the Vietnam War, that attack word is action. That's action. That's not passive obedience. There's nothing non-threatening, non-violent about that. Non-aggressive. You see? So again, something's coming out of this man in realities. It's coming out of him. So he said we have been taking the black young men who have been crippled by society and sending them 8,000 miles away to supposedly guarantee liberties in East Asia, which they have not found in Southwest Georgia or East Harlem. So when he say we're taking black young men who have been crippled by society, he's talking about their status at law. We all know by now, and still today, that Negro, black, colored, African American, you are crippled. You're handicapped. You're politically handicapped in the world of law. We're talking in the world of law. And you're out of the law. And so when King said crippled by society, means you're a minor, you're a ward, you need to be taken care of, you're dependent. No different than being paraplegic politically. So this man is dabbling on some things that's, like I said, is way bigger than Christianity. But continuing, he said that we watch Negro and white boys fighting together in solidarity in Vietnam, burning the huts of poor Vietnamese villages, but they cannot share the same space in the classrooms in the U.S. Talking about that segregation. You know, all the blood that was shed here of Asiatic, so-called black, and non-Asiatic, so-called white can't get together, but somehow they got this miraculous camaraderie when they're both on the same U.S. team, murdering brown-skinned people abroad. That doesn't make any sense. But anyway, this is what King is bringing to the surface, and King gonna show you that you're hypocrites. I didn't already told you, U.S. black Christians, you're hypocrites and you're superstitious. But King is going to confirm my position. And he made this speech like in 1962. What was that, like 60 years ago? So that's what he's saying. This speech is really saying. So continuing, this shows false camaraderie and false teamhood. You know, they're promoting these wars as a team player sport. And what team are you on? You know, that's manipulation. I'm not on any team. I tell you like Muhammad Ali, that those people never did nothing to me. I don't have no business putting gun on and going against some people. Simple as that. But continuing, King says, as I have walked among the desperate, rejected, and angry young men, I have told them that Molotov cocktails and rifles will not solve the problem. But they ask, and rightfully so, what about Vietnam? They ask why our nation was using massive doses of violence to solve its problems. So this response by them shook King. Okay, he's a preacher, very oracle, has oratorical skills, and their response shook him to the point where, you know, he had to say, you know, he had to acknowledge. He said that he knew he could never again raise his voice against the violence of the oppressed in the ghettos without first speaking clearly to the greatest purveyor of violence in the world today. See, the youth came back with a very timely response, relevant response that, you know, everybody wants to criticize them why they do what the hell they do, but you're not, especially as an adult who look like them, you're not relating to them. So you being hypocritical, asking them a stupid question like that. Why they killing each other and gang banging and all that shit. But they can put in a uniform at 18 and get an M16 for the United Snakes and draw on little brown and black girls in Mogadishu and in Ghana and Somalia and Asia. You see, it ain't making sense. It ain't making sense. And I'm gonna tell y'all something about war. What's taking place is war changes you chemically. War changes you psychologically, economically. War changes you in all areas of people activity, but definitely chemically. Hate begets hate. War begets war. Or warmongers begat warmongers. Because natural Asiatics, it's been proven that we are generally a peaceful people anywhere they found us. Yeah, we had tribal indifferences or whatever. But, you know, you can't get nothing done being non-peaceful. Peace is the default state of a human being, you know, with our genetics and genotype, phenotype, and blood type. So, you know, all this war that's going on, especially with the U.S. capitalist wars, is changing our young men. And it changes something, I think it's called endorphins, chemicals. It chemically changes you. You know, that's why a lot of them come back and they're never the same again. They, you know, trauma. They can't maintain. They end up committing suicide, or they end up killing somebody, kill a wife, kill a son, or abusing them. They got something in them. You know, that's what war does. War is so ungodly, especially with all these wars being fought. I'll tell y'all a story real quick and get back to the speech. Kind of like what war does. We had gerbils. My mother got us either hamsters or gerbils. I think it was gerbils. And you all know that gerbils are basically vegetarian. Okay, you know that when you get them from the pet store, you get the pet food, it's vegetarian. So, you know, I got an older brother that is always doing daring stuff. I mean, you know, that's the way he learns. I'm not criticizing him because I learned a lot from him, but he has an obsession with learning something all the time to the point of being like a daredevil. So it's either gonna kill him or he gonna learn one or the other. But that's the breakdown of the family with no man in the house, the imbalance of learning that type of way. But anyway, we had gerbils, and my mother was most likely gone, and you know, we went to the kitchen. We made hot dogs. Me and him, we had hot dog. We were eating the hot dogs, and of course we went back to look at the gerbils because they're fun. You know, children learn a lot from pets, obviously. But my brother being inquisitive, always overly inquisitive. It's a you can say an obsessive need to learn constantly, which is a good thing, but if it ain't balanced. So, you know, we're eating a hot dog. My brother wants to know what will happen if he gave these gerbils meat, knowing they're vegetarian, or not even considering the fact that their biological makeup is vegetarian. They made to be vegetarian, okay? Created to be vegetarian. So he broke a piece of the hot dog off meat, and you know a hot dog is nothing but really scraps. If it's a beef hot dog, it's the scraps of the cow. If it's a chicken hot dog, it's the scraps of the chicken. If it's a pork hot dog, scraps of the pig. So he gave these gerbils, these vegetarian gerbils, a piece of his hot dog. And do you know that changed their chemical? It had a chemical reaction and changed their whole, you can say, vegetarian anatomy. Okay, it was two of them, and just giving them a piece of that hot dog, that meat, chemically changed them biologically, psychologically. And would you all know that one of them after getting that meat needed some more meat, so he literally ate the head off the other one. Okay, I have no reason to lie. Meaning it changed him. It changed him chemically, psychologically. He lost his mind. Okay, that's what war is equivalent to. When you throw a young brother from wherever, 18 and 19, and throw a gun in his hand and throw him down in these bloody wars. You don't know what's gonna happen. He got alters in him. So anyway, the gerbil chased the other one and ate his head clean off his body. We thought they were playing, but the other one was screaming, running, and really crying for help. And the other one turned into like a monster, man. And of course he was bigger than the other one, and he chased him around. We was wondering, why is he chasing him? We thought they were playing. He chased him around. I guess the other one got tired of running. He ate his head clean off his body. Okay, and it affected him chemically, because he was in the corner, like in convulsions and seizures and shaking, and had this grotesque look, eyes getting big and small. I mean, it was clearly, you can see the meat clearly chemically changed him and psychologically, and made him a madman, or a mad gerbil rather. And I say that because that's what this war does to humans, to our young men and young women. They ain't got no damn business being in there. And I can tell you that, another experience is every time when I used to be clubbing, when I come in 3 a.m, and when you drinking all day, all night, before you sleep, you want to put something on your stomach. But when every time I came in 2 a.m, you want to put something in your stomach. Every time I ate meat that late at night and went directly to sleep, I know meat lets off some kind of chemicals or something, some type of animalistic chemicals, because every time I ate meat 2 a.m, especially when I microwave it when it was hot or when I warmed it up, my dreams always were horrific. Like something's trying to kill me. It's always been death. Some kind of grotesque monster trying to kill me. Okay, and I wake up, heart racing, like I almost had a heart attack, eyes bloodshot. Every time I ate meat, it never happened with a salad, with an apple, with fruit, with nuts. Never happened. Only when I ate meat. And that's how I can give you a testimony that meat definitely changes you chemically, sort of like war changes you chemically. And the coincidence, they did a study on the U.S. military, all the meat they feed them soldiers, them big slabs of beef, ribs, and pork, that changes them chemically also. So you got the war changing them chemically in one aspect, then all the meat and the turkey they eating before they go to war, somebody did a study and showed that the U.S. military is overly aggressive. Why they want to kill all the damn time, and they associate it with the meat. So that's just giving you an analogy of what's taking place with our young men. You know, it's changing them. It's changing them. This war is not godly, and they don't belong in there. But anyway, going to continue with the speech, King said. So again, I'll say that again. King said, as he walked among the desperate, rejected, and angry young men, and told them that Molotov cocktails and rifles will not solve their problem. But they asked, and rightfully so, what about Vietnam? They asked why, if our own nation uses massive doses of violence to solve its problems. And then King said, I knew right then and there I could never raise my voice against the violence of the oppressed in the ghettos without first speaking very clearly to the greatest purveyor of violence in the world today, my own government. This is King. Greatest purveyor of violence in the world today, my own government. You can see why they had to kill this man, because these are clearly not Christian statements. So King said when he advocated non-violence to stop the Negroes from rioting and to take physical blows upside the head when dealing with them racist white devils in the South, like the redneck Bull Connor and Jim Clark. Okay, he said when he advocated nonviolence for those means, the press and the media was so noble in applause and noble in its praises. But soon when he suggested that the United Snakes use that same nonviolence on little brown-skinned Vietnamese children, that same press media stayed completely silent. And he said there's something strangely inconsistent in that particular press media. Of course it is, because that damn media is ran by them damn Khazarian Jews. Okay, the only reference to Jew they are is Judas Iscariot. Very wicked people. And they're the ones as you know, gave you the NAACP. They're funding that bullshit covertly, you know, to keep us in the same status, Negroes, blacks, coloreds, while they sit around and play the chosen people of God, which is bullshit. You know, they use us as a scapegoat. But so the media know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. They're praising them on one hand to get lumps upside the head and bleed. You know, and you go to heaven after that. But they ain't doing that shit. Okay, Israel sure as hell ain't doing that. They'll kill your ass in a heartbeat. But so this is what King is saying. King is continuing with his speech. He said there will be no meaningful solution in Vietnam until we sit down and hear the cries of the Vietnamese people. Meaning, give them a fair one before you unleash all that brutal terror on them. And then King said, who are we supporting in Vietnam today? A man by the name of General Key, K.Y., who fought the French against his own people. Who fought, with the French against his own people. And who said on one occasion, the greatest hero of his lifetime is Adolf Hitler. Just right there, if this man fought with the French against his own people, he's got to be a Jesuit agent, because France was overtaken by the Jesuits. France was Jesuit run for a long time, since the earliest times. When you get into the Huguenots, and you see, so when you know history, you can see certain markers that I can see that, and I can see now from what King is saying that, you know, we U.S. backed a Jesuit agent over there, and you know, respect for King knowing some history. So this is not a dumb man, and he's not choosing his words on any dumb foundation. This man knows history, which I can relate to. So, you know, you got this General Key, K.Y., who fought with the French against his own people, and who said on one occasion the greatest hero of his life is Adolf Hitler. Okay, King said this is who we support in Vietnam today. Now let's take a look at this General Key. Wikipedia tells us that this General Key his full name is look like Nguyen, Nguyen Caoky. I can't even pronounce it, but Key is the last name. Born in northern Vietnam, September 8th, 1930, and looked like he died 23rd of July 2011. Joined the Vietnamese National Army of the French-backed state of Vietnam and started as an infantry officer before the French sent him off for pilot training. After the French withdrew from Vietnam and the nation was partitioned, Key moved up the ranks of the Vietnam Air Force to become its leader. In November 1963, Key participated in the coup that deposed President Ngo Diem and resulted in Diem's assassination. Yeah, this man is Jesuit trained. I can tell the things he's doing, that he's been influenced by Jesuit Rome, which is really Catholic influence. So I'm seeing right now, thanks to King, of why the U.S. is in that war. See, it's all religious. It's religious. Whether you know it or like it or not, you know. So it would make sense. It would make sense. And then you got a Vietnamese bigging up Hitler. Like what can possibly be in him but he's Jesuit trained? Like a lot of them South American leaders that you dealing with, Pinochet and all of them, that exterminated their people, them dictators. Okay, you know the Catholic Church, the Spanish conquistadors ran through South America, Mexico, all of them, with the Inquisition. So most of them are puppets, and a lot of them still are. But continuing, King said, our government, meaning the press and media in general, hold on a second. What he's saying is our government won't tell you these things. Why we over there, why the U.S. is over there. And he said the press and the media in general certainly not going to tell you. But King said, but God told me to tell you this morning. Wow. God told me to tell you. Yeah, something's definitely moving in this man. The man said, you know, he's invoking God, true God. When you tell the truth like this, there's got to be a true God in you. King said the truth must be told. All the while the Vietnam people received and read U.S. Continuing, this is what King said, all the while that the Vietnam people received and read the U.S. leaflets promising peace and democracy and land reform. You see, it's a lie. I mean, their leaflets, they drop leaflets on them people. Again, diversionary, psychologically manipulative bullshit. The leaflets are saying one thing, that they're about peace. And again, that word democracy keeps rearing its ugly head because you don't want a democracy and you don't want democratic principles, because if you look at the U.S. war training manual, and it'll give you the definition of democracy. You don't want it. You never had it. Indigenous people don't even know what that is. Indigenous people don't need to know what it is. Indigenous people live on natural law, moral law, ancient law, spiritual law, divine law. Democracy has no place. So King said, now they languish under bombs and considers not their fellow Vietnamese the real enemy. They see the children degraded by U.S. soldiers as they beg for food. They breaking these people. It's Catholic based, because that's what the Jesuits are all about. That's a famous Catholic Christian Inquisition war strategy based on submission through terror, threat, duress, and coercion. The end justifies the means, if you just read the Jesuit oath, meaning whatever they have to do to break you. But that's what they did to the Aboriginals, Christopher Columbus. So again, I can see right now it's got the Catholic Christian in the Pope all over it. And this is religiously motivated. And thanks to Phil Valentine and Hamza Sid Catlett Bey and Taj Sharik Bey telling you the Inquisition. So I see it. I can see it. I can see it a mile away. And it's religious, and it's definitely Catholic Christian. Continuing, King said, we have destroyed their most cherished institutions, the family and the village. Now, their most cherished institutions, the family is an institution. The most cherished institution, the family and the village. Because a family makes a tribe. A village, which is a clan, is really a series of families. And I've always told you all that the family is sacred under the Creator. Directly under the Creator / Creatress. The family is a business. The family is ran like it's like a corporation, but the family is a government, in other words. The family is a government. You got the man playing his role, woman playing his role, child playing their role, which makes that government function, the government of the family. Okay? And we over there breaking them people's family just like they did us over here, which got us now Negro, black, colored, and African American. So you see the same colonial Willie Lynch Jim Crow pattern on indigenous peoples with the parent genes in their skin all around the world. And I already told you all that I teach that the family is God. Okay, of course we all are separate gods and goddesses serving the Most High God, but the family encompasses God. When you see that, you know, everybody has a role to play, and if you take one out, that government falls. You know, I told you I teach that the family is the original Holy Trinity, the sacred triune. The hell with some Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. They done took the woman right out. But that family exemplifies God when God is in the family. And that family is very special because things start to grow exponentially with the family. You know, an individual makes a family, family makes a clan, a village, village makes a tribe, tribe makes a nation, nation makes an empire. They all are successional like hierarchies. You know, in other words, a family. Next thing, when people procreate in a family, it's gonna make a clan, and they all blood. Okay, and the clan keep on procreating, it's gonna make a tribe, nation. Okay, so King is remarkable. The words he's saying is the U.S. is over there destroying families and is destroying the village, just like they did with us since the 500 years ago. The Spanish conquistadors, how they warred on the Moors and Native Americans, especially on this landmass, and all the heinous things they did to the man, kill a man instantly, then rape the woman. It's conquering. So I can see now it's Christian conquest. King said we have destroyed their land and their crops. Okay, so they won't have a way to eat, so you got to feed them. It's a submission. They're breaking them. King said this is our role our nation is taking. So we have, King said, this is our role our nation has taken. A role that makes peaceful revolutions impossible. By refusing to give up the privileges and the pleasures that comes from the immense profits of overseas investments. King said, I am convinced that if we are going to get on the right side of the world revolution, we as a nation must undergo a radical revolution of values. That word values is very serious. People don't have values. They're lost, or they don't have a priority of value. Their values got to be in strict priority, which you know the Negro, black, colored values have been gone a long time ago. So this is King saying we as a nation must undergo a radical revolution of values. Radical. He's using the word radical. This is what scared them white people why he had to go. Radical. Black man radical. You know? So continue, King said we must rapidly begin to shift from a thing-oriented society where machines and computers are more important than people. King talked about the giant triplets of racism, militarism, and economic exploitation, which is clearly prevalent today. Continuing, King said a true revolution of values will soon cause us to question the fairness and injustice of many of our present policies. And he said, individual capitalists of the West invest huge sums of money in Asia and Africa and South America, taking the profits out with no concern of the country's poor and financially downtrodden. King said, the Western arrogance that it has everything to teach others and nothing to learn from anyone else. The Western arrogant that it has everything to teach others and nothing to learn from anyone else. Is that not the West in a nutshell? And for this man to be a Christian Baptist minister saying this, again, he's clearly moving, the Spirit is clearly moving in him that I can identify with, and it's not Christian. But continuing, King said, the business of injecting people with napalm is not a fair and just business. Napalm is poison. They dropped napalm on them and people and ate them people up. Okay? Sending men home from dark and bloody battlefields and psychologically deranged. A nation that continues year after year to spend more money on military defense than on programs of social uplift. This is a nation approaching spiritual death. A genuine revolution of values means that we must get out of our morbid fear of communism and begin to attack poverty, racism, and militarism. Now, when he said we need to get over our morbid fear of communism, that's been fabricated. Communism has just been made the boogeyman. You know, the U.S. always needs a boogeyman, whether it be terrorism, war on something, war on communism, war on terrorism, war on crack cocaine. They're gonna warn you for something because that's where they advance their agendas, and of course get paid in the process. So King said, I spoke out against this war because I am disappointed in America, which really is the United Snakes. But King said he's disappointed. I am disappointed with our failure to deal positively and forthrightly with the triple evils of racism, economic exploitation, and militarism. We are presently going down a dead-end road that will lead to a national disaster. King said America has strayed to the poisons and influence of racism and militarism. Okay, every man, this is King, every man has a legacy to dignity and rights that are not conferred by or derived from the state. This man hitting heavy. I see why they had to get rid of this man. This man is dealing on civics, nationality. He's not saying it, but he is, because when he said every man has a legacy, legacy deals with inheritance and a will. What he's saying is every man has like a birthright to dignity and rights, birthrights that are not conferred by or derived from who? The state. So he's really taking a shot at the state as an enemy of the state. That's what made this man dangerous. He's going directly at the beast, man. He's attacking the beast. Okay, now when you know who the state is, remember, we're not talking about no state republic, because the state republic dealt with the law of the land. The state republic dealt with the law of the land. So when he's talking about every man has a legacy to dignity and rights that are not conferred by or derived from the state. Remember, I put a notation here, was Adolf Hitler, which said a person doesn't even have a right to exist except for the benefit of who? The state. We talk about that same corporation that's running now. Washington, D.C. is really the state. Everything else is sub-agents, like state of Ohio, county of Cook, city of this, borough of that, village of this. You know, so he's going against the state, which is Washington, D.C., and it's not a state republic. Remember, that's been overtaken in 1871. But your boy Adolf Hitler is talking this New World Order rhetoric that a person does not even have a right to exist except for the benefit of the state. It's the opposite way around. The state is made by the people. People make up the state, and the state made up the United States. Without the people, it all falls down. People are the parent, and the government is the child. That's how it's supposed to be. But they done flipped it. They got a state corporation now, kicking people's behind, knocking people's teeth out. That's the New World Order. That's Hitler. That's basically fascism. So A good example of totalitarian New World Order philosophy is the assertion that governments grant human rights to people. This is found in an International Covenant on Human Rights passed in 1966 by the United Nations. I call them United Abominations. That's why I don't trust the United Nations. They passing things saying that governments grant human rights to people. That's backward. Governments ain't got nothing to give and got nothing to grant nobody. Okay, so that's New World Order stuff right there. We all know the United Nations is really the Pope's background. The Pope is controlling the United Nations. They're ushering in New World Order through the United Nations. We all know that. Even Malcolm X told you that. Took a shot at the United Nations. He said it's lopsided, it's racist. We already know that. Okay, Bush already showed you that when he made war with Iraq, he said he didn't even need U.S. Congress. He had a mandate from the United Nations. To give you an idea of what the United Nations is meant for. So, you know, understand what King is going against, whether he know it or not, and most people don't. Is the Pope in the Vatican of Rome, Italy. Okay, they see him as a heretic, and they had to get rid of him. But continuing, the U.S. federal corporation, unconstitutionally created in 1871, voted in favor of this International Covenant on Human Rights. I guess they would, because the U.S. corporate government grants citizenship to its corporate U.S. citizens. The real, live, flesh and blood people of North America have been psychologically manipulated into unknowingly serving as sureties for and accommodation parties to artificial, fictitious, legal entity corporate persons. Okay, that's who give rights. They can only control what they create. The U.S. Federal Corporation of 1871, that's the unseen hand. That's a corporation. They made corporate people a 14th Amendment corporate person. They're not talking about real people. So of course they can give corporate rights to corporate people. That has nothing to do with the real people. Okay, the people has just been suckered into being surety for these corporate people. Straw man. So you got to see what took place. That's the unseen hand. It's a corporate takeover. It's a public front. It's a psychological operation. So continuing with King's speech, King said America has strayed from its stated values, meaning Constitution for the United States of America Republic, law of the land. You know, the United States made vows, you know, that Constitution for the United States of America is no joke, because it's documented what they vowed to do, you know, if they can keep it. But that's why it was knocked out. You know, it had too much law in it. King said it is time for all people of moral consciousness to call on America to come back home. King said, I call on Washington, D.C. today. I call on every man and woman of goodwill in America today. I call on the young men of America. He's talking directly to the young men, man to man. I call on the young men of America who must make a choice, basically, to fight and die in these wars. He called on the young men to take a stand on this issue. Okay? So he's telling you young men, you better think twice about jumping in this war and being drafted. You better use your minds. King said tomorrow may be too late. The King said, don't let anybody make you think that God chose America as his divine messianic force to be, as sort of a policeman of the whole world. That's very serious for King to say that. Don't let anybody make you think that God chose America as his divine messianic force to be, as sort of policeman of the world. King said, it seems that I can hear God is saying to America, you are too arrogant. The arc of the moral universe is long. See, King is talking as above, so below. When you start talking about the arc of the moral universe, what he's saying is the macrocosm gonna clean this microcosm up. Okay, so this man clearly ain't talking Christianity. He don't know it, but he's not talking Christianity. He's talking everything except Christianity. But King said, we shall overcome because one will reap what one sow. That's karma, ancient science of karma. Okay, King is talking about law, natural law that will rule. which I've already said, everything and everybody's going to follow the law. Law will be restored. It might not happen in your lifetime, but you'll see it in the spirit world. That's okay. You're gonna benefit from it anyway. King said, on this day the lion and the lamb shall exist side by side, and every man will be able to sit under his own vine and fig tree, and none shall be afraid. Now see, now he talking about the vine and fig tree, which Noble Drew Ali talked about. That's how I know this man is saying something deep in Christianity. Drew Ali said every man must worship under his own vine and fig tree. Of course, they got rid of him too. All the stuff he did stood up against the beast, just like King did. And King said, I don't know about you, but I'm not going to study war anymore. Yeah, something's coming out of this brother I can identify with. I'll tell you that now. I can identify with. And I can use that today. And that's what I'm feeding off of. So I'm saying that this particular speech is a chastisement and a firm disdain for the unseen hand which has crept into North America, otherwise known as the United States Federal Corporation of 1871. My question is, where are the preachers today to shun the sadistic, brutal policies of the United Snakes? All right, your boy Barack Obama, which I refer to as Too Sweet. Y'all might not remember the movie Penitentiary, where Leon Isaac Kennedy played a character called Too Sweet. That's what I call Barack Obama. Barack Obama had the nerve to receive a Nobel Peace Prize for what? What the hell did he do? You know, all he did, you know, what peace did he broken? Golden Boy Smooth Operator. What peace did he broken? Please tell me. All he did was end the war in Iraq and immediately shifted to Afghanistan, so the same Wall Street gang can continue to make huge profits off of war and destruction. See, that's the game, that's the change them politricians give you, because they don't tell you the terms and conditions of change, so they manipulate you for what they ain't telling you. That's all they do. I mean, if somebody got their left hand on your throat, choking the hell out of you to the point you're losing consciousness and turning purple, you know, and he's telling you he's going to give you change, you want to stop being choked altogether, you know, and he's telling you why he's choking with his left hand. Change is coming. Change is going to come. Vote for me and I'll give you change. Then he automatically he takes his left hand off and starts choking you with the right hand. That's change. He just changed hands. But he's still choking the hell out of you. You're losing consciousness and turning purple again. That's not the change you understood. You wanted him to stop choking you altogether, but they don't promise you that. So they slick. That's politricks. Politricksters. So again, you know, that's the change Obama gave you. He changed the crime scene of young inner city black and brown, poor youth dying and shedding their blood from one place to another. So that boy is smooth. That boy's Too Sweet. That's why I call him Too Sweet. If y'all don't know what that is, again, old school movie. I guess I'm telling my age again. Penitentiary. I think y'all get a kick out of it, where Leon Isaac Kennedy played Too Sweet. But continuing, if Martin Luther King was compelled to deliver this outstanding speech at this particular time in history, and the conditions in which he spoke of still exist and persist, then what is that saying about our hypocrisy today? I've already told you all that U.S. black so-called Christians I told you all unapologetically that you all are hypocrites and superstitious and mind control religious slaves. You know, you all are being psychologically handled. Okay? So what you clearly hear in this speech is the spirituality of this man coming to the surface and the state-sponsored religion fading away. What I'm hearing in this speech is MLK destructively criticizing Christianity and actually denouncing and renouncing it. Denouncing and renouncing it at the same time. Okay, what King is showing you and telling you and the world is these blatant policies of the United Snakes are in alarming opposition to the bullshit storybook sermons that these typical 501c3 preachers, leechers, are manipulating the people with every Sunday. Love your enemy, turn the other cheek. Pray for your enemy. Okay, this man's giving you the truth and nothing but the truth. Truth has no religion. Truth has no religion. Truth is a spirit. Truth is spirit-based. Truth deals with spirit. Spirituality and truth shares the same space. State-sponsored religion is the opposite of spirituality and is therefore in opposition to the truth. State-sponsored religion is like GMO truth, and it has been modified and altered away from the absolute truth. And just like GMO food has on the natural body, GMO truth has detrimental effects on the natural spirit, which is responsible for the moral decay and lawlessness in society right now in North America. Okay, if King was around today, what do you think he'd have to say about Donald Trump and his Wall Street administration? I mean, unless they would have had to kidnap him and give him 20 years like they did Nelson Mandela and break him. You know what he would have said. You know what he would have said. So I already informed you that this unconstitutional de facto United States federal corporation is basically being ran by 21 international corporations, which currently purchase 95% of all of the government bonds, which is debt. In my last YouTube, where entitled, Trump endorsing police brutality, I mentioned these 21 international corporations that are running your corporate government. I didn't mention them, but I'm going to mention them now. And remember, they currently purchase 95% of all the government bonds, the debt. So they control the debt, which means that they control absolutely every aspect of the U.S. corporations, such as the mortgage markets, energy markets, technology markets, military industrial complex, prison industrial complex, food industry, all state, county, and city municipal corporations, etc. In the court case known as the Bank of United States versus Planter Bank of Georgia in 1824, the court ruled, as a member of a corporation, a government never exercises its sovereignty. It acts merely as a corporator or corporator. And further, when a government becomes a partner in any trading company, it divests itself, so far as concerns the transaction of that company, of its sovereign character and takes that of a private citizen. Okay, that happened a long time ago. When the U.S. got off when the United States of America Republic got off the gold-backed money, started dealing in negotiable instruments, they lost their sovereignty right there. So what this is saying to you is when government begins dealing in negotiable instruments, aka commercial paper, aka commercial items, that government has absolutely no more sovereignty and takes on the status of a mere corporation and a private citizen. Well, that has already taken place in North America. Again, when the gold was stolen by the Vatican, and they gave you this Federal Reserve monopoly game commercial paper to spend. I say monopoly game money because if you know the concept of the game Monopoly, to get everything and somebody has nothing. And on the cover of that game, you see the little Khazarian Jew wearing all black with the top hat and the coat with the tails on it. Okay, showing you they are in a brotherhood. They're not no ancient Jews. You never see no ancient Judeans wear that bullshit. So, they print the U.S. money, Khazarian Jews. The Federal Reserve is ran by them Khazarian Jews. So, you do the math. Okay, so the USA Republic ceased to be solvent and is therefore a bankrupt corporation. Now, you want to know who's controlling every aspect of your U.S. corporate secret shadow government? And I say your government because it's certainly not mine. I'm going to name you the 21 corporations who's running the United States corporation right now, in which Trump is nothing but a do-boy for. He's a representative of these 21 corporations. He's doing their bidding, corporate bidding. Number 1, Bank of Nova Scotia, New York agency. Number 2, BMO Capital Markets Corporation. Number 3, BNP Paribas Securities Corporation. Number 4, Barclays Capital Corporation. Number 5, Cantor Fitzgerald and Company. Number 6, Citigroup Global Markets Incorporated. Number 7, Credit Suisse Securities USA LLC. Credit Suisse, that's French, Suisse. Number 8, Daiwa Capital Markets America Incorporated. Number 9, Deutsche Bank Securities Incorporated. Deutsche Bank, German bank. We all know that Trump grandfather, Frederick Trump, is not even from here. Immigrated over here in 98. So Trump is a germ, aka German. All right, and you already know he's caught up in a scandal of collusion with that damn German bank, Deutsche Bank. Congresswoman Maxine Waters already tried to subpoena his records, his ties with that German bank, and they told her she's a congressman, they ain't gonna do it. Okay, so number 10, Goldman Sachs and Company. That word Goldman, that's some Khazarian Jews controlling that gold. They control that Goldman Sachs and Company. I know you heard these companies before. Number 11, HSBC Securities USA Incorporated. Whether you all know, HSBC stands for Hong Kong Shanghai Bank of China. Okay, so you know China's in the mix. They buy a whole lot of U.S. bonds. Number 12, Jeffries and Company Incorporated. Number 13, JP Morgan Securities LLC. Number 14, Merrill Lynch. Number 15, Pierce Finner and Smith Incorporated. Number 16, Mizuho Securities USA Incorporated. That sounds Japanese, Mizuho. Number 17, Morgan Stanley and Company LLC. Number 18, Nomura Securities International Incorporated. Nomura sounds Japanese also. Number 19, RBC Capital Markets LLC. Number 20, SG America Securities LLC. And number 21, UBS Securities LLC. These are the 21 international corporations that control you and own you. They own the debit cards, they own the welfare, they run the welfare. They run your transportation system, they run your school system, your health system, everything. Okay, and this is who your boy Trump moves his behind for, clearly. Especially all these wars that he's trumping up with Asia. But continuing, how are they able to do all this right up under the noses of all these people in North America? They keep the U.S. sheep-like people, citizens, sensationalized on diversionary bullshit entertainment TV shows that tell lies to your vision, such as People's Court with the Zionist fake Jew actors such as Judge Judy Sheinland. I say that because an article just came out, timely article that says Judge Judy celebrates $95 million catalog sale. That's an MSN.com article. But 95 million. Okay, I'm gonna read the article. It says Judge Judy Sheinland and her family, and you already know that she's a judge making all this money, and her husband's a judge, another Nazi, wherever they're from, Austria, some damn where. You know, fake Holocaust survivors making all this damn money, claiming they're the chosen ones. Anyway, the article says Judge Judy Sheinland and her family had 95 million reasons to celebrate on August 9th, and they did. It says the hard-nosed Judge Judy star sold her TV library to CBS for a reported 95 million. It says Sheinland, 74, also extended her run to 2021. Hard-nosed judge? That bitch is acting. You ain't no damn judge. You're a game official and a referee. Okay, like on a baseball diamond or racquetball court. Okay, there's no the actors, the people on the docket in them courts are artificial people, so that's not real court. Okay, remember I already gave you the two definitions of court. One would be a form of justice or a building in which a form of justice sits. It clearly ain't that. What it is a second definition, a play area for certain games. Okay, so bullshit Judy Shineland with that gold fringed U.S. flag in the back, which means they're dealing with the law of contracts, Admiralty Maritime Law, and they got a nerve to call her a hard-nosed judge. She's an actor. She's clearly an actor with all of that. You know, you listen to me. You do what I say. It's my courtroom. What the hell I got to do with court? I mean, someone to jump across the counter and choke the hell out of her, jump across that bench. That's what them guns are for. But she's an actor. So again, hard-nosed Judge Judy sold her TV library to CBS. More Jews for reported more fake Jews, Judases. I tell you, that's only reference to these people. Jews is Judas Iscariot. Sold her TV library to CBS for a reported $95 million. Continuing an article, with her family in tow, the no-nonsense judge, yeah right, no-nonsense judge, that judge is full of nonsense, bullshit, was seen leaving Milo's in New York following a seemingly celebratory seafood dinner. Okay, TMZ cameras caught her as she left, asked if she ever thinks about slowing down or stopping. A smiling Judy told the cameraman, "You go until you stop." Yeah, you keep bullshitting until you stop. Somebody stop you. When they say when the cat is away, the mice will play. When you Negroes, blacks, coloreds, and African Americans wake up to who you are, that's what'll stop this bitch from getting paid on your miseries. But anyway, the TV judge is already the highest paid personality. She's an actor. They're calling her personality, like radio personality. She's a TV personality. The TV judge, that gave it away. TV judge, meaning TV sport. It's a game. The TV judge, you ain't no judge in no real court of law, is already the highest paid personality, pulling down a $47 million in annual salary. I mean, what is this bitch doing where she's making $47 million every year? It shows you, man, that's them Khazarian Jews, Judases. So, continuing the article, the show reportedly generates an estimated $160 million to $170 million a year for CBS in license fees and advertising sales. Like, give me a break. She ain't doing shit. And it says perhaps CBS got a deal too. Initially, Judy was seeking $200 million for the rights to her library. Like, who wants that garbage, man? That shit ain't fit for a damn dog to watch. The newly sold catalog of Judge Judy contains 5,200 hours of episodes, which is particularly impressive when you take into account that there's only 8,760 hours in a day. Ain't nothing impressive about that bullshit. That's that amusement. It's that sensation that black sheep like to watch. But the end of the article continues, says if asked if she had any advice for someone who wanted to binge on all her episodes, she said, "Do it when you're sober." She's a bullshit artist. After the sale, Paul Franklin, probably another Jew, president of CBS, you know he is, CBS Television Distribution, said in a statement, Judge Judy Shineland was one of the all-time great stars in the history of daytime television. She's an actor. You know, give that bitch a damn Academy Award, if anything. She's been part of the CBS family for over 2 decades, and we wanted to stay that way by acquiring her incredible library of episodes. Like, give me a goddamn break, man. That's them damn Jews making money. They don't let you in their clique. They pass that money around. You know, we all know that Bill Cosby. See, they own NBC, CBS, and ABC. They don't give them up. They don't sell them. They let you buy shares, and that's what give you power. And they don't let you get too many of them if you're not a certain persuasion. You remember Bill Cosby tried to buy shares in NBC. He didn't try to buy NBC. He tried to buy shares, which would have gave him some sway, some power and influence. They said, oh no. I think he openly admitted that he wanted to buy some shares so he can put some positive images of black folk on TV, even though that's what he have not been doing any damn way. But that was his thinking. But he wanted some control. And you see his son, Ennis Cosby, ended up dead, right? You see, so they got a way of keeping these Negroes in line. Believe that. Now, Queen Latifah had this deceptive charlatan on her show and did not expose her. Queen Latifah promoted this bitch as if she was actually done some good in the world. Talking about Judy Shineland. I remember when that bitch was on her show. But what I seen was a feminist hookup where Queen Latifah actually put a plug in for her and gave her props. Why didn't Queen Latifah ask this fraud about the gold fringe flag, U.S. flag, in the back of her courtroom? Or why she didn't ask Judy Shineland what is the status of the parties on her court docket? Are they real or fictitious? Okay, if Queen Latifah would have did that, her career would have been over. Overnight, her career would have been over because them fake Jews allowed her to stay on TV as they control all the major networks. So you all see when Bill Cosby again expressed that he wanted to own substantial shares with NBC, his son was murdered. See, but that's the oaths you Negroes get in when y'all come in. Y'all know what it is. You can buck if you want. You know, these devils, these are killers. They will kill somebody in your family, but you signed on to that coming in. So these TV Negroes know to stay in their place. Negroes like Arsenio Hall, Oprah Winfrey, Wendy Williams, etc. You know, I actually heard someone refer to Arsenio Hall and Queen Latifah as King Buttlicker and Queen Bootlicker. You know, or the other way around, King Bootlicker and Queen Buttlicker. Anyway, all these shows, Jerry Springer, Maury Povich, Chris Williams, what's the bald-headed devil with blue eyes? There used to be a bodyguard for one of them, but you know, these shows are meant for diversionary sensationalization. You know, us being human beings, everyone like a certain amount of drama, you know, a certain amount of sensation. But when you overdo it, it dumbs you down. I mean, who wants to see midgets fighting, you know, midgets twerking, baby mama drama, all of that garbage? That shit affects your spirit, affects you chemically, just like war and just like meat in a vegetarian. But you got people hooked on that bullshit, hooked on that damn amusement. You know, if the word muse, M-U-S-E, equates to thinking, amuse obviously got to do with not thinking. That shit doesn't require you to think, to use any intellectual aptitude. You sit there like a dumbass and feed on that garbage, that low frequency garbage, and wonder why we in the same situation we in. But that's them Jews in Hollywood. That's why they control the media, so they can keep crapping on our people, showing us as pimps and hoes and baby daddies, deadbeats. And they run around here talking about they the damn chosen people. Holocaust bullshit, Holocaust survivors, and making all this buku damn money. Every time they cry Holocaust, they get $100 million. So, you know, you got to see the hookup. You got to see the sleight of the hand trick, and who's in bed. It's powers that be. There's powers going on, man, in dark places, and them Zionist Jews are definitely in there, along with the Pope. That's why they both wear the same headdress, Afro-Asiatic headdress, the yarmulke. But anyway, that's you know, we're getting that's another story. But continuing on this Asia, this fetish with the U.S. and his words of Trump on North Korea. Okay, there's a PDF, or there's a document going around called Asia and the Western Dominance by Deepak Lal. Pardon me for a second. Okay. There's a document called Asia and the Western Dominance by Deepak Lal. You can clearly see he's from Asia somewhere. But it looks like he did a lecture on this book called Asia and the Western Dominance. He didn't write it, but I'm gonna give you the introduction of his work, of his lecture. Deepak Lal. He says, and again, I'm trying to give you a historical foundation of the West's obsession into the continent of Asia from the beginning, and this information should do that. So the introduction by Deepak Lal says, I am deeply honored to have been asked to deliver this year's annual lecture of this institute. He says, my theme is the complex interrelationships between the great Eurasian civilizations since the 15th century age of discovery. Okay, he says, as a young student of history at St. Stephen's College in Delhi, that's India, one of the books which fired my imagination was the book by Sardar K.M. Panikar, it's P-A-N-I-K-K-A-R, entitled Asia and Western Dominance. Okay, this book was published in 1953, and I see from my copy that I acquired it in July 1958. This was notable insofar as it provided a rounded, non-Eurocentric account of Asia's encounter with the West, from the early arrival of Vasco da Gama off the coast of Kerala in Calicut in 1498 till the sunset of the British Raj in India in 1947 and the emergence of the People's Republic of China in 1949. So when he mentioned Vasco da Gama, you know, you clearly talking about a some type of religious. You clearly talking about Christian conquest. Okay, because all of them are either from Spain, sent by Spain and or Portugal. So continuing, this guy said, it seemed opportune to base a lecture in which I mainly wanted to outline the lineaments of an emerging confrontation between Asia and the West by looking at the historic engagement between the great Eurasian civilizations since the voyages of discovery. See, they're talking about that Christian discovery, so ably delineated by Panikar, and to examine the extent to which his and Nehru's hopes of an independent and strong Asia, melding its own traditions with the modernity that the West has forced on it, have been achieved. So that right now they're telling you that the West has been forcing influence on them. Okay, and you know, part one of his lecture is called The Age of the Crusades. I told you, back to them Christian crusades. Panikar distinguishes 5 periods, talking about the author of the book, Asia in the West. But Panikar distinguishes 5 periods in the West's modern engagement with Asia. It began as a crusade, Christian crusade. The Portuguese desire to outflank the Muslim power by finding a passage around the Cape Cod of Good Hope to the Indies was the 8th crusade, as Panikar calls it. The Portuguese saw themselves as cutting off the lucrative spice trade of the Muslims, another word for Muslims being Moors, who with their rapid conquests linking the worlds of the Mediterranean and Indian Oceans had control over the traditional trading routes through the Levant. Okay, continuing, he says, the attack on the spice trade, writes Panikar, as Albuquerque clearly explained to his soldiers at Malacca, was an attack on the financial prosperity of the Muslim nations, an aspect of economic warfare, the significance of which both the Muslim powers and Portugal fully realized. Now, that's the end of that excerpt from Deepak Lal. Now, you clearly see him talking about ancient stuff. Number one, he's mentioning Portugal. A lot of y'all don't remember them papal bulls. One of them papal bulls split the entire earth in half into 2 hemispheres and gave Portugal one side of the hemisphere to colonize anybody they see on that particular side of the hemisphere, and gave Spain the other hemisphere that they can colonize anybody they found. This is the insanity of that damn Pope. Insanity. Pope claiming himself to be sovereign. So Spain and Portugal has always been tools, Christian tools, for Catholic Christian domination. Same Spain and Portugal who joined forces, you know, to take the Moors down in 1492. It's there. Everything's there. So it's religious. What this is showing you that the West dabbling in Asia is purely religious. Now keep in mind that where it is Indonesia, the country of Indonesia on the continent of Asia has the most Muslims in the world. You would think it would have been Africa, somewhere in Africa, but no, Indonesia. According to Wikipedia, around 62% of the world's Muslims live in the Asia Pacific region, from Turkey to Indonesia, with over 1 billion Muslim adherents. The largest Muslim population in the country is in Indonesia, a nation home to like 12.7% of the world's Muslims, followed by Pakistan, 11%, and India is 10.9%. So understand all of this got to do. I tell you that white man always envied the trade of the indigenous peoples. We had a commission order before this New World bullshit order. That's what they're battling. We had a commission order. Okay, and they always envied our trade, our women, our intellect. Okay, the pyramids, the knowledge, the wealth, the gold, Mansa Musa. The white man already wrote Golden Trade of the Moors. They envied our trade. Them spices, money. That's the real money. Spices, rum, tobacco. Okay? They were not, the white man, the Christian white man was not allowed in the trade routes. And he was very jealous until they finally got powers together to battle them, you can say Moors or Muslims, really Asians, ships. In other words, we had ships going back and forth to all continents way before the white man. We had a world order. We had a world network. We wasn't lacking nothing. Okay, we had a world network where ships, giant ships, not just boats, doing big trade, big commerce with each other, going from Americas to Africa to Asia. Okay, we had calendar systems. That's where you get the word Marrakesh. Why you hear me use a Marrakesh year. We had industrial ports, Cairo. You had industrial cities in Asia. We had monetary systems. We had calendar systems. We had cosmological systems. That was already a world order. I didn't say new world order. So we had a world order. We had a time system. Okay, the white man envied that. And now you currently under their new world order, which is suppression of the commission order. You're under this Roman Greco bullshit. You'll understand what's taking place. I told you history. Malcolm X said you got to know history. And it seemed like King knew a little something about history. Anyway, we're going to continue. The U.S. Treasury actually has an article where it says the Treasury acts to increase economic pressure on North Korea and protect the U.S. financial system. So you clearly see this is business, or crooked business. Anytime the U.S. Treasury has an article taking a shot at North Korea, you know it's about bonds, debt, putting people into debt, money. Okay, people are money. Okay, North Korea is obviously putting a monkey wrench in their fake bonds and their fake money. Okay, no different than Gaddafi did, and then he had to kill him. But so this article by the U.S. Treasury: actions target a Chinese bank and others supporting North Korean sanctions evasion. Article says, and of course you can find this on the U.S. Treasury website. I don't think I put the link, but it ain't hard to find. Anyway, article says Washington. The U.S. Department of Treasury took multiple actions today in response to North Korea's continued evasion of international sanctions, development of weapons of mass destruction and the means of their delivery, and violations of United Nations Security Council resolutions. Treasury's Financial Crimes Enforcement Network announced the finding that Bank of Dandong, a Chinese bank that acts as a conduit for illicit North Korean financial activity, is a foreign bank of primary money laundering concern. And it says that the U.S. Treasury Financial Crimes Network has proposed to sever the bank from the U.S. financial system. In addition, Treasury's Office of Foreign Assets Control, OFAC, that designated 2 Chinese individuals and 1 Chinese company in response to North Korea's ongoing weapons of mass destruction, WMD development, and continued violations of UN Security Council resolutions. So right here you see they are demonizing China as helping North Korea. Why would they not? They're family. Do you think Chinese gonna throw they cousins under the damn bus for the West? I tell you, this war, this thing is on, man. It's truly World War III. You Negroes better get y'all minds right, because I tell you, they messing with your sister continent. You know what it is. You should be going the hell off, especially after the speech I gave you by King. Anyway, continuing, this article says the Department of Treasury is committed to protecting the U.S. financial system from North Korean abuse and maximizing pressure on the government of North Korea until it abandons its nuclear and ballistic missile programs, said Treasury Secretary Stephen T. Mnuchin, which is probably one of them Khazarian Jews. You know he is a Zionist supporter. They wouldn't have put him in there to handle that money if he was not of the Zionist Jew persuasion. So Mnuchin says, while we continue to seek international cooperation with North Korea, the United States is sending an emphatic message across the globe that we will not hesitate to take action against persons, companies, and financial institutions who enable this regime. All right, so you can clearly see they trying to hit sanctions on China. You know, these are threats to Asia. Okay, now let's get back to the issue of why the United States, under the president, warmonger and psychopath, is threatening North Korea with nuclear response if they moved on South Korea. First of all, the U.S. is threatening these people by the sadistic military buildup of North Korea on North Korea's front doorsteps. Okay, North Korea only vowed to send 4 intermediate range missiles into the nearby waters of South Korea, not kill anyone. Okay, even when a squirrel is backed into a corner, it comes out and strikes in self-defense. It doesn't care how big you are. They are provoking North Korea. Okay, with all that damn armament right next door to them in South Korea, these people ain't dumb. They know what the United States got a history of doing. They know who they are, and they know history. Too bad you Negroes, blacks, colors, and African Americans don't know who you are or know history. These people got something to fight for. Okay, these people know who they are, and they threaten. They're being threatened. You know, so I wholeheartedly support anything they need to do to get the beasts out of that damn area and out of their damn business. Because, you know, these people ain't smart. These people ain't dumb enough. They know if the U.S. can get all that kind of armament on their borders, on their doorstep, what's going to stop them from just coming over their doorstep and overtaking them? That's what's going to happen. They doing it anyway. So you all need to keep in mind that the Pentagon, to tell you a little bit about South Korea, which Guam is in South Korea, give you a little historical perspective. Y'all need to keep in mind that the Pentagon in Washington, D.C. currently controls about 1/3 of all the land in Guam, South Korea, which is home to like 160,000 people and a sprawling complex of U.S. military bases, including the Air Force Base where many of the United States B-2 bombers take off from before flying over the Korean Peninsula. For decades, the residents of Guam, or the indigenous peoples of Guam, Asian people of Guam, have resisted the militarization and colonization of their homeland by the United States, which has now put them in the crosshairs with a possible nuclear war between the U.S. and North Korea. A little about the atmosphere in Guam right now and how the people are actually responding to this escalation between Trump and North Korea. There are two basically there are basically two primary responses that the people of Guam are having. On the one, because of the militarized existence, particularly with the U.S. Department of Defense's presence since 1898, there is on one hand this desensitization to the threat and the buying into what is being told in terms of the island being safe. The Guam governor issued an announcement saying that it isn't in any imminent threat. On the other hand, there is just about an equal amount of people really growing increasingly angry about the way they are being used as these pawns in this situation. And pawns, they smart enough to know they pawns. And where have you heard the words pawn? There's two excellent books, which I know we ain't gonna read, we don't read. Pawns in the Game. Okay, game as in chess, not checkers. All right, and there's a book, The Grand Chessboard by Zbigniew Brzezinski, which a lot of you don't even know who the hell that is. If you don't know who that is, you need to stay away from the U.S. polls because you have no clue who's running anything. But anyway, these people already know they're pawns. And in pawns, they talk about chess. The position of a pawn is on the chessboard. Okay? And that's how these people see war, man. It's a game. It's a wicked game. So what most people do not understand is that Guam during World War II was an active war zone for 3.5 years by the Japanese Imperial Army. And so the experience of active war, something that is very much a part of their being. So on the second half of their population is very angry. The second half of their population is very angry about how their colonial status puts them at this level of great risk. When one looks at how the U.S. bases on Guam were established, you will know that Guam was originally colonized by the Spanish Empire. And the U.S. acquired the island and ultimately occupied the island in the Spanish-American War of 1898 and almost immediately began to build up the island as a military base. There's the Spanish. I told you, when you hear Spanish in Portugal, you know what it is. It's religious, Catholic, Christian, papal domination. I told you what, the Pope already gave the world, and the papal bull, one of the papal bulls gave the entire world to who? Spain and Portugal. He divided the earth in half and gave Spain one half to dominate and rule and conquer, and Portugal the other half. So you clearly see Guam ended up under the part of the Spanish hemisphere, according to the Pope. So now you see the basis why the U.S. is over there, their origin, or why they over there, conquest. Okay, so continuing. The island was itself treated as a single military base. The presence was relatively small until World War II. Guam was one of the few parts of the United States to suffer Japanese occupation for 3 years, along with the violence of a U.S. attack to evict the Japanese, which led to widespread displacement. What was seen after World War II was the massive buildup of Guam into a major U.S. military force deployment center in the Western Pacific, a base in which the U.S. could deploy forces throughout East Asia. Many in the U.S. military consider Guam to this very day to be one of the most, if not the most important U.S. military bases in the world, in the mind of U.S. military personnel and some outsiders. The United States today possesses somewhere around 800 U.S. military bases outside the 50 states and Washington, D.C. And that's a number that comes from a list that the Pentagon puts together periodically. Guam is considered U.S. soil. U.S. military and others treat Guam as a foreign country. One U.S. Major General speaking to reporters said, "We can do what we want here." Okay, that's that arrogant beast again. It's that arrogance that Martin Luther King was talking about. That they can do what the hell they want on someone else's land. And essentially, the U.S. military has treated Guam and the people of Guam for decades. Let me say that again. And essentially, the U.S. has treated Guam and the people of Guam for decades now. It's really their property. Guam is a U.S. colony. People in the past were not afraid to call Guam a colony in the past, but today Guam is considered a U.S. territory. Guam is a colonized U.S. territory. There's a colonial relationship, and the people of Guam have this third-class sort of citizenship. People of Guam cannot vote for a U.S. president. They have no representation in U.S. Congress. That sound like Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico is in the same status. Then people are in limbo, colonized, and in all this damn papal-sponsored, Vatican-sponsored debt. But y'all do the math. Y'all do the science on that. The people in Washington, D.C. have a second-class citizenship, but at least they can vote. The people of Guam have been stuck in the status of colonial relationship with the rest of the United States and not given independence, and at the same time, or incorporated into the USA as a state that would grant them full rights of a U.S. citizen. Even though that's not nothing to be proud of, no damn U.S. citizen. I done shunned that bullshit. Anyway, many residents of Guam are actually involved in the U.S. military and in the bases in Guam, the naval bases and the Anderson Air Force Base, etc. The widespread resistance on the island has been growing exponentially in the past decade. In the year 2006, the U.S. entered an accord with the government of Japan, agreeing to transfer 8,000 Marines from Okinawa, as well as South Korea, to the island of Guam. And as a result, that led to a major groundswell of resistance, largely because our current situation has already been militarized by the U.S. Department of Defense. And what they were looking to do was increase their land holdings to roughly 45%. So they're moving on their land. Remember, land is the basis of power. Okay? So that expansion continues to this day, not just with those original projections of the military buildup plan, but also with the acquisition of a lot of Guam's sea space, and not just contained in Guam, but to the neighboring islands of the Marianas, such as the island of Tinian, the island of Pagan, to be used for these live fire range complexes. Now, let me say to you all now, when you start talking about these islands, the Mariana Islands, Hawaii, Philippines, they are remnants of Mu, M-U. Okay, I didn't put out information on the article, The Children of Mu. Mu is the name that existed before Africa. Parts of Africa is actually remnants of Mu as well, the Mu Atlantis Empire. Mu as in Moors, M-U-U-R-S. Okay? The indigenous people saw the land as Mu. There was no damn East Chicago, West Chicago. Mu. Simple. M-U. All right? So, India is a remnant of Mu. Kemet is a remnant of Mu before them floods. Okay, so Mu spanned, and I suggest you do a research on Mu, because them, you know, the Sonetta All-Stars ain't gonna tell you about Mu. And his squad don't talk about Mu. Runoko Rashidi don't talk about Mu. I don't know why. You have to. Mu is a fact. They done found to me and dug so many places, they know Mu is a fact. But anyway, so when you talk about these Mariana Islands, you can't help to think of Mu, the Mu Atlantis, the Mu Empire. Anyway, continuing, the economy of Guam depends on the U.S. military bases. Japan and Okinawa leads in the resistance to U.S. militarism. They are really on the front line as far as foot soldiers for the peace movement, largely because they have large population bases. For example, in 2009, the U.S. Department of Defense released a draft and environmental impact statement of this planned military buildup for the island, which was really an expansion of their existing footprint. In response to that, as part of not just a scoping process, but they're collections of testimony from the peoples of the community in Guam, people's community in Guam. The people of Guam responded with 10,000 testimonies in a population based on 100,060 people. That was unprecedented in U.S. Department of Defense history, as they actually reported that number, and they reported that that was unprecedented in the history for that kind of community response. What is very disheartening, however, was that regardless of that kind of immobilization, which ultimately resulted in the people of Guam suing the Department of Defense on their plan to take an ancient sacred village called Paget, and as a result of that lawsuit delayed the buildup because the people of Guam were able to win that lawsuit. But unfortunately, since then, the U.S. has released new plans, and they, just in the last few weeks, have gotten the green light to go ahead and clear an additional 1,000 acres of land for purposes of this military expansion in the ancient village of Matetsin. So these atrocities are like one assault after another. In terms of Guam's ocean space, for example, in 2014, the Marianas Island Training and Testing Range was also established despite of the outpouring and resistance from the people of Guam, which did not make a difference. And ultimately what has been the consequences of that is the establishment of a training range in the ocean and the sea and the skies of nearly 1 million square nautical miles. 1 million square nautical miles is larger than the states of Washington, Oregon, California, Idaho, Nevada, Arizona, Montana, and New Mexico all combined for this purpose. And just within the last month, U.S. Department of Defense just announced an expansion even more so of this net range. This insane, magnanimous expansion is really invokes a lot of response in terms of anger and the resurgence of the people of Guam's colonization and the price people of Guam are paying at the hands of U.S. colonization. The people of Guam are caught in these geopolitical games of conquest of indigenous black and brown people's land and their sovereignty. Okay, there's a book, if you all care to read, I doubt it, but there's a book called Base Nation, How U.S. Military Bases Abroad Harm American and the World by David Vine. Guam is part of a constellation of U.S. military bases in the Pacific region. There are currently more than 200 military bases between South Korea and Japan alone hosting U.S. forces, and there's more in Thailand. The Philippines, more in Thailand, the Philippines, and elsewhere in the region. These U.S. military bases are clearly meant to threaten. The claim about U.S. bases overseas for years in the conventional wisdom and mainstream foreign policy discourse is that these bases are absolutely necessary to the defense and security of the U.S. and the world, but there is no evidence to show how these bases are keeping the peace. All of these U.S. military bases have actually proved to increase military tensions. When the Soviet Union put just one military base 90 miles off the coast of Florida, that was considered a U.S. threat, otherwise known in history as the Cuban Missile Crisis. Okay, so again, you see U.S. being hypocrites, how they can saturate your area, other areas with all these bases and all this U.S. threat, but they don't want nobody near them, not one base near them. Then they want to go to war and cry war. Okay, all of these bases in the Pacific region is clearly a Cold War strategy, military buildup, East against the West, communist East against the Christian West. Okay, that's what it all boils down to. The bases in Guam have been occupied for more than 100 years, not considering the damages these bases do to the people who live near these bases, the environmental damage, cultural damage, the displacement taking place, not talking about the massive overspending for these bases running into the tens of billions of dollars to maintain operations, including U.S. troops abroad every year. So that just gave you a taste of really what Guam is, the history of Guam, which is South Korea, and why North Korea clearly sees a threat, and rightfully so. Okay, you must remember the words of the late double U.S. President CEO Harry Truman. True man, not a true man at all, but more like a true devil. Just before he bombed Hiroshima and Nagasaki, this devil basically dictated to the Asian people that they will either accept the U.S. terms or conditions or they will be destroyed. That's how the beast talks. That's the beast's diplomacy, which is what Martin Luther King was showing you in '62 in his speech, saying the U.S. is arrogant. Okay, they're dictators. This is how the beast arrogantly talks to melanin-rich people to forward their eugenics-based policies. Dropping those bombs on those brown-skinned people of Asia was clearly a racist act of genetic cleansing. You can't call it nothing else. That's that white man being 10%, and the rest of the world, melanin-rich world, is 90%. And he needed to do something to battle your genetic dominance. But again, if you read the book ISIS Papers by Frances Cress Welsing, she told you that that's what it's all about. These genetics. The white man is genetically inferior, and that's what he uses bombs for, to serve as his penis, you know, to wipe melanin-rich people off the earth. See, they see our penis, the original man penis, as a weapon that's more potent than their weapon. So that's what their missiles is, a reflection of their penis, that they can bomb melanin-rich people so they can possibly survive. So when you talk about Hiroshima and Nagasaki, I mean, you talk about Hiroshima. Hiroshima has a music group known as Hiroshima. Beautiful music, man, heavenly music, soothing music. One song called "One Wish." As you know, I suggest you download this free music online instead of filling yourself with all this damn amusement and entertainment, diversionary bullshit. Download Hiroshima, some music. One of them is called "One Wish" on the album called "Another Place." They got many albums of wonderful music, very, very meditative music which only the ancient East can do. And I'm proud to be an Asiatic, the root word being Asia. I'm not Negro, Black, Colored, African American. I'm proud to be Asiatic, and I'm proud to proclaim the continent of Asia as my sister continent. Some people actually call it the mother continent. Okay, because when you understand when the earth was more one, Africa is really East Asia. So, you know, and there are pyramids in Asia. So, you know, and they, you know, y'all need to understand, I didn't say this before, you Negroes, Blacks, Coloreds, and African Americans, you are dominant over there as well. Okay, and you got the word Nagasaki, Naga. The Nagas, do some research. Nagas are the enlightened ones of Asia, woolly-haired enlightened ones, which you were when you was over there. I tell you, they know who you are. They're your children. Okay, that's how that's how Vietnamese lost, not the Vietnamese, that's how the U.S. lost that Vietnamese war, because them people know who they are, and they was actually lecturing you. Okay, so y'all can't sleep on Asia. Y'all let this white man attack Asia. Y'all are worthless, and I hate to say it, man. African Americans, y'all done took on a new name. That means nothing. You ain't doing nothing for Africa or America, really. Okay, because they both are really Asia. If Americas are really part of Africa and Africans are a part of Asia, what part don't you understand that African Americans are really one land, ancient name being Asia? Okay, so y'all gotta stop thinking these continents when they separated. Melanin-rich people, again, are 90% of the planet. We have the parent genes, not the child genes. That's all you need to know, who you are. I know there's a performance going around called Yushin, I believe that's the name of it, touring, and they toured in DC. But if you look at the kind of entertainment people of Asia offer you, you can clearly see it's spiritual and metaphysical. They don't have no time for no Western style bullshit like Barnum and Bailey circus and WWF wrestling, grown men acting. And I'm going, you know, One saying, I'm gonna rip your head off, and they make all this money on damn bullshit. Asian people can make money on wowing you and spiritually, in using spiritual techniques. They can make the same money or even more money giving you holistic, meditative entertainment. You can see the commercial Yushin, the way they dance in unison. It's no match to the West, the wild, wicked, uncivilized West. Budweisers and the whores and 42nd Street. Come on, man. The U.S. can't mess with no damn Asia, man. In no kind of way at all. That's why they had to bomb them. Where I am now, I'm not gonna tell you where I am. There's an event going on this weekend with all these I knew something was going on because all these damn white people, look like animals, like somebody just let animals out of a cave. And when they operate in droves, they have even more collective cave people energy. But all these white people going to this event, they behind out, coochie out, titties out. I'm like, where are you? Where are y'all coming from? Who dropped them in this area? Some moon festival. But it's deeper than that. It just looks savage. It looks savage. All the women got their butt cheeks out, thongs up their behind. I mean, I can see if you do that behind closed doors. Wear real clothes, and when you get to the rituals, y'all can do what the hell you want. But a whole drove of white people walking around with leaves in their hair like they're in the Garden of Eden, all this freaky shit. And they give off an aura when you see them all like that. They just look animalistic, uncivilized. And of course, you got a couple of specks of pepper in there. You always got a couple of specks of black pepper in a bowl of grits. You got us in there and don't know what the hell it's all about. They're really giving tribute to cosmology. When you talk about a moon festival, that's cosmology. Moon gods, okay? Minstrel. You're talking sex. That's what the butt cheeks are hanging out for, okay? They initialize, and they are gonna have sex. When they finish that event, you better believe they're gonna drink and have sex. They look like they're probably doing it in the damn event. So anyway, these white girls, I done told you sisters, are dabbling in your science. The moon, the sun, and all that, and you don't know who you are. You better come back to who you are in the ritual of the moon, in your menstrual cycle. You're supposed to be in direct synchronization with the moon, but these sisters clinging with them, just tagging along. Our sisters always tagging along with these damn white movements, feminist movements, like little stray dogs, when you don't know they're really emulating you. That white woman wants to be you. So I had to say that, but understand what's taking place on the continent of Asia. Now, let me see how much time I have in this broadcast. Okay, it looks like I got about an hour, a little under an hour, but I'm going to try to continue with the rest of this information. Excerpts from the book entitled American Dynasty, Aristocracy, Fortune, and the Politics of Deceit in the House of Bush by Kevin Phillips. This is a serious book because what this book is saying, what it's showing you is Trump, I always says Trump is like Bush on steroids. They both being presented to you like this modern day Christian crusade, savior. They're doing Trump the same way they did Bush. It's a religious war. Okay, and Trump is talking the same rhetoric of fighting the evils again, Islam again, which I told you Indonesia has the most Muslims. So Trump is doing exact thing word for word. But in this book, chapter 2, called the Dynastization of America, which they're telling you, this book is telling you that the U.S. presidency is being controlled by dynasties, meaning they all family. They're not against each other. Trump and Hillary put on a big front, but they're not against each other. They both work for the damn Pope. Okay, they're just two families fighting for the same crown. A white girl has already did her research and showed you that absolutely every U.S. president are descendants from this English king. Even Obama through his English white mother. So don't let these suckers fool you, man. Okay, they all are family, all of them. Trump and Hillary never hated each other, never. They go to dinners and smile, man, and eat lobster and shrimp on you suckers. Okay, that's what that's what dynasty is. Look up what a dynasty is. It's two members of a same family fighting for the throne. Meaning they got it on lock. They ain't letting nobody else in that family. They're running that money. They controlling that money. You know, you dumb-dumbs used to love that damn series called Dynasty with damn J.R. Ewing and all them crackers. But y'all don't even know what a damn dynasty is. I bet you don't even know. Well, look it up. That's what's taking place now. So the Clintons are a dynasty. The Trumps are a dynasty. The Bushes were a dynasty. They all family. They all family, man. They try to pretend they're against each other, but they're not. Anyway, chapter 2 of this book, called The Dynastization of America: Religion, Imperialism, and Reaction. It says, historically, these three concepts have proven to be interdependent. Kings have been succored by the type of religion that requires bishops, that required bishops. Imperialism has thrived under the power of the scepter, and dynastic restorations have ushered in reactionary politics. Okay, the putative imperium of the early 21st century bears more relation to Professor Walter McDougall's American Crusader state, with its proselytizing ideologies and in biblical analogies, than to any European pomp and liturgy type of empire. The pillars of the Republican moral restoration of 2000 and the ensuing Crusader state had very much the same, especially supportive core. Talking about this Bush, when Bush stole the election in 2001, 9/11. Okay, I say it again. The pillars of the Republican moral restoration of 2000 and the ensuing Crusader state had very much the same, especially supportive core. Evangelical and fundamental Protestants, a group that included roughly a quarter of all Americans. For them, the inaugural slogans of restoring trust and helping wounded travelers on the road to Jericho served all too easily into the 2002 and 2003 rhetoric of launching preemptive strikes to smite the evil tyrants of the Middle East before they could smite first. See, that's what Bush was all about. It was, after all, a matter of scripture in which the figurative prelates were the Billy Grahams, Pat Robertsons, and Jerry Falwells, and Bob Jones, with their flocks of many millions singing, "Onward, Christian soldiers." Okay, this is describing Bush's whole agenda, him and his dad, him and his father, against Saddam Hussein in the Middle East. Part 3 of this book is called Religion, Oil, Armaments, and War. Okay, chapter 7, the American presidency and the rise of the religious right. Okay, talking about that word right. The American presidency and the rise of the religious right. We already said, when you hear that word right, conservative right, they're talking about good old boy redneck Christians, which is currently going on now. And you hear the word alt-right. Congressman got a group of Confederate good old boys called alt-right, R-I-G-H-T. And remember that little redneck from Maryland went and killed that brother in Bowie State, was a member of a group called the Alt-Reich, R-E-I-C-H, which means order. Hitler dealt with the Third Reich, and that whole movement was transferred over here, Operation Paperclip, to the America's Fourth Reich. So you're now dealing with the Fourth Reich under Trump. Okay? So, the making of a fundamental politician. By 2000, some 46% of U.S. Christian told poll takers of their own Armageddon belief. Despite important differences, Christian, Jewish, and Muslim prophecies converged in anticipation in anticipation of great confrontation in the Middle East. Within each faith, important minorities thought their hour might be approaching. Doctrinal Christians looked for the signs of the end times. Jews for the 10th red heifer that would signal the Messiah, and the apocalyptic segment of Muslims for a rising temple of wars, corruption, and fighting over Jerusalem. This means that after the World Trade Center was destroyed on September of 2001, the Islamic fundamentalists, come terrorists of the Al-Qaeda movement, faced the U.S. president supposedly interested in a more than cold-blooded retribution. Having been chosen disproportionately by America's own doctrinal believers, Bush responded with overtly biblical attacks on evil and the evil ones, just like Trump saying, exactly like Trump. Bush confided to friends that he felt chosen by God to lead the nation in its response. He would even, in an excess of candor, describe the U.S. response to 9/11 as a crusade. So now you know what the hell these devils are doing. Okay, I told you it's always been a religious war against the heathens, Protestant, the heathens, heretics, Protestants, Saracens, Berbers, the Moors, which is Africoid people, Asiatic peoples. Brother Malcolm X was right when he said that the European white man uses Christianity as a tool to wedge its way into criminal conquest. Now, I'm going to give you excerpts from the book entitled The New Jim Crow, Mass Incarceration in the Age of Color Blindness by Michelle Alexander. She did an excellent job to try to give you the mentality of white people bent on this white nationalism. It's fundamental Christianity. You got to remember the damn Ku Klux Klan are the grand protectors of the Christian creed. So what's that telling you? Okay, and you see them on the rise. But anyway, on page 23 of Michelle Alexander's book, and I suggest you get the book, it's free on PDF. It says the notion of white supremacy rationalized the enslavement of Africans, even as whites endeavored to form a new nation based on the ideals of equality, liberty, and justice for all. So even she, in her book, is pointing out that they're hypocrites. These crackers never cared nothing about no freedom, and they claim they was running from persecution. But how ironic, you get over here and you got black slaves and you stealing the land which you claim you running from. Okay, all these devils over here, Puritans, Quakers, which I call crackers, Lutherans, Calvinists, it's a Christian front. Soon as when they got here, man, they saw this land. They wanted land and slaves. Okay, you got to remember, Nixon, racist redneck Nixon, he comes from a Puritan descent. Puritan's supposed to be purely religious, which is bullshit. Okay, he comes from a Puritan background, and you got to remember, he's the son of a Puritan, either his mother or father or both. And this crack out of his mouth with his eugenic statements is the one that said the natural rate of procreation of people of color in the third world and here in the U.S. is going to have a negative effect on the U.S. gross national product and cause a direct threat to the national security of this country. Those are eugenics statements. And he said that in 1969. 1 year later, the U.S. Department of Defense allocated AIDS, appropriation for AIDS funding in 1970. AIDS being made in Fort Detrick, Maryland, Southern state, Confederate state, Ku Klux Klan state. So you do the math on that. Anyway, page 25 of this woman's book says white supremacy over time became a religion of sorts. Faith in the idea that people of the African race was bestial, that whites were inherently superior, and that slavery was in fact for the blacks' own good, served to alleviate white conscience. This is psychological manipulation. That they had to do slavery, for your own good. You need to be a slave. That's Christian bullshit at its finest, psychological bullshit. You need to be a slave so these damn crackers can gain economic benefits and land for generations to come, like they're doing now, like Pat Robertson, all these redneck Christians, Billy Graham. They were reaping the benefits on slavery. That's why they push slavery as an institution. Anyway, page 26 of this woman's book This faith in white supremacy justified an economic and political system. Remember that. It's a political system. Christianity was concocted for political reasons. Even she's saying this in her book. This faith in white supremacy justified an economic and political system in which plantation owners acquired land and great wealth. Just what they're doing in Guam and all these military bases now. It's white supremacy. It's conservative right. It's Christian conquest. Okay, they're doing it under the guise of Christianity when it's really conquest. Okay, y'all don't understand that it's a political system. I keep saying that word till you get it in your brains. That this cracker don't give a damn about the character Jesus Christ they gave you. That he fed a multitude with some damn fish and bread. That's bullshit. That's the stories they got you hooked on. These crackers ain't feeding nobody with no fish and bread. They blowing brains out of little brown people all around the world and taking land, L-A-N-D, being the basis of power. And they got you Negroes supporting them. Okay? They got you. If you can't say what King said in that 62 speech, then you's a hypocrite. You can't stand with that man because the same conditions even more so exist. But, you know, everyone's telling you hypocrites. Everyone's telling you that you all are hypocrites. I done told you. Michelle Alexander is just writing it in her book, you hypocrites. King said you hypocrites. And how many different ways you need to understand it. And I'm giving you documentation instead of just calling you names, showing you how much you're a hypocrite. But continuing excerpts from the book entitled The Unseen Hand, an introduction to the conspiratorial view of history by Ralph Epperson, again free on PDF. Okay? Introduction. Is it possible that so-called government leaders and others planned events and then orchestrated them to their desired conclusions, as well as the great catastrophes of history? Okay, it says U.S. President Franklin Roosevelt quoted, "In politics, nothing happens by accident. If it happens, it was planned that way." And now I interject with the word conspiracy theorists, which you indoctrinated Negroes like to call somebody a conspiracy theorist. That's the most oxymoronic combination of words I've ever seen, and it's really diversionary. Because the word conspiracy, if you get a dictionary, it literally means to plan. Everybody plan. Don't you plan? When you jump in your damn car to go to Wendy's, don't you plan to go to Wendy's? Okay? When you got a family, don't you plan to go to an outing? Go to a cookout and plan to go home? Don't you plan? That's all conspiracy mean. So there's no such thing as conspiracy theorists that you're theorizing that somebody's planning. That's what you're saying. When everybody's planning. Okay? And U.S. President Roosevelt then told you, in politics, nothing happens by accident. If it happened, it was planned that way. That's your word, conspiracy. Meaning somebody's conspiring at all times. Everybody conspires, meaning plans. So you throwing that word conspiracy theory, it means you stuck on stupid. Everybody plans. That's the base. Human beings plan when they do shit. Okay? So there's no such thing as a theory that you're planning. You are planning. Everyone's planning. And you better believe these manufactured crises are being planned. So chapter 1 in this book, God or Government. It says George Orwell, a British socialist and author of 2 books, Animal Farm in 1984, on the subject of absolute power of a few, quoted, "The ultimate power in government is communism and is the seat of maximum power over the economy and the individual." This is the same communism they demonizing. It's a diversion because fascism is communism. You see? So they playing y'all, man. Ultimate power in government is communism. That's what they're headed towards right now with the New World Order, and is the seat of maximum power over the economy and the individual. That's what they're doing. That's what Trump stands for. The absolute power of a few uses the concept of government to get control over the economy and the people. So they crept in and stole your government to suppress you. You see? For communistic socialist reasons, which is really fascist reasons. That's why them Nazi fascist symbols are on each side of your flag. That's communism. Okay, so they're lying that they're against China because they're communists and Russia communists. You done heard Russia name every day. Every damn day, man. You don't hear Russia's name. It's diversions. So, you know, there's an article out there, The Rise of Catholic Christian Crusades, KKK in America. You know, you got to understand the alt-right, the Reich, conservative right, it's all Christianity. But see, this stuff is backfiring on ignorant ass Trump because he's an ignorant caveman. He don't know. See, he came in throwing words around. Words got power. He came in, in other words, he's getting people killed by his words. Now he see. Okay, the West Virginia governor done told him, you're responsible. People's dead now. That damn redneck rally in West Virginia, these ignorant ass white people. You see what I'm saying? People are dead now. 3 dead and 19 injured. Somebody's responsible for that. And all roads lead to Trump. They blaming Trump. Okay? They blaming Trump. The governors blame Trump. So he got ramifications to pay because he's ignorant. You want to come in and tell people to punch somebody in the face if they oppose me, and they did it. They killing for you, Trump. Their little redneck white boys are killing for you. Little redneck white boy, two of them in Maryland, one went to New York, killed that brother. Blame it on Trump. Okay, blame it on Trump. Charge that to Trump. Okay? Other white boy went to Bowie State, stabbed the brother. Found out he was with a group called Alt-Right. Trump, blame it on Trump. Okay, 3 dead as of Saturday of this melee. If you look at that shit on the news, man, it doesn't even make sense. It's supposed to be America. People supposed to be educated. Look at that shit. Look like animals, man. Animals. Because that's what Trump is. He's promoting this animalistic aura. He's an animal. I tell you, he's a rabid dog. Okay? But see, he's waking his ass up now, and all of a sudden he's trying to denounce this shit. Oh, you can't denounce it now, buddy. You got Mad Dog, Mattis on your squad. That's all they done is kill brown-skinned people in Vietnam and these wars. Come on, man. Don't denounce it. Live up to it, motherfucker. Choose expression. Live up to it. Because he know it's going to close in on his ass. Somebody going to get him. Okay, you causing people indirectly and directly to die, motherfucker. And if you know the ancient science of karma, I know you genetically fucked up. But that's okay. Karma going to deal with you. Somebody going to get you and your children or your wife or her daughter or somebody. It's coming to blows. And now he's trying to distance himself. It's so sad that people act this way. Bullshit. You're a hypocrite. You didn't let it on. You didn't found that your words got power that you can't deal with. And it's coming home to you, my man. Chicken's coming home to roost. Again, like my brother Malcolm X said, chicken's coming home to roost. That's a beautiful statement because that's what's taking place. You know, you're a Jesuit agent in the Roman Catholic Church from day one. It's all about bloodshed. They want bloodshed, and that's what it is. And that's what King had to say in his speech. That y'all hypocritical. Y'all hypocrites. But that's okay. Things are backfiring. Now he want to distance himself from what he done. You can't do that, Trump. It don't work that way. People have lost their life, and the West Virginia governor is rightfully so saying you're responsible, Trump. So now he finally knows how ignorant he is, like a little wicked child, that his words got power and his position got power. What is he using it for? So I'm going to wrap this up. I got like 30 minutes to wrap this thing up. But in conclusion, man, I felt the need to do this. I felt the need to do this because, again, the name of this monologue is the current provocative U.S. threat to North Korea and the 72nd anniversary of the U.S. bombing of Hiroshima. In conclusion, and again, I recommend you all to Google King's speech of why I oppose the Vietnam War, because like I said, what that man said is highly relevant. And these 501c3 Negro preachers ain't saying a damn thing. TD fakes, TD snakes, All of them, Jamal Bryant, wherever you may be. I'm not singling you out, but I'm just telling you, we hypocrites, y'all hypocrites. Because if this man felt the need to say this in 62, more so, they done turned it up, the same condition persists. All right, T.D. Jakes, the man, saying that when Bush got in office, a lot of y'all don't know that the first thing Bush did is call them damn mega preachers in and fed them niggas, gave them the cookies to shut their mouth and get them on his side. He's controlling them. DC's controlling these 501c3 preachers. Okay? And Taj Tariq Bey done told you that's a skull and bones oath for kickback. And he's absolutely right. Okay? There's only two people that can hold my attention right now on YouTube or wherever. There's two brothers, I'm proud to say, that can really hold my attention, and is still holding my attention to this day. One would be the brother Ali Muhammad, formerly of ISIS, International Society of Indigenous Sovereigns. It's not that ISIS overseas, but it's him. Brilliant young brother, calls himself an Aboriginal minister. A lot of y'all know him because he's still doing his thing. I don't agree totally with him and the United Nations because they snakes, but that brother's right on point. And I just saw one of his videos the other day. He is right on point as always. The knowledge that brother kicks out, the documents, he's the one that informed me that the U.S. House of Representatives is now incorporated with a Dun and Bradstreet. I would have had no idea, and he gave the proof. But him, I mean, he has a new indigenous name called something Naga Shi Ali. You know, Naga Amaru Shi Ali, I believe that's his new name. But brilliant brother. Forever grateful that brother for being an Aboriginal minister and telling us about our DNA, phenotype, and blood type, haploid type. You know, thanks to that brother Yamashi, the XI, he expounds on that, on really how, you know, we don't understand who we are here. Yamashi people, the Olmecs are known as the Shi people. XI is pronounced Shi. Forever grateful for that brother, whether he hears me say this or not. And the elder Taj Tariq Bey, who's been teaching on a certain degree for 20 years, and he still comes through with this relevant information. That it's all about us being in right with our, you know, in standing with our God in this universe. We can't seem to understand that all this stuff is going to continue to escalate till we get our mind right in the universe. We are so out of order, and we can get this bullshit right. And we wasting time. Time is speeding up, man. People dying, losing their life. Sister went to that rally now. She crying. Done been injured for what? You see, our people are in the wrong places at the wrong times, man. We looking stupid. We won't sit ourselves down and come to the table and get our shit together. So we float around like dumb little children and get hurt and killed in this melee because we don't know what time it is. But I'm gonna say this in conclusion. It look like I got about 20 minutes. Our young men and women don't have no business in these wars. You know, King told you that, and King talked to the men directly. I'm gonna talk to you natural Asiatics, you genetically dominant natural Asiatics, original human, you young men and young women. I know you don't have nothing to do out there because it's designed. Believe me, it's a design, man. But y'all don't have no damn business in these damn United Snakes wars. You know, do whatever you can, man. Hold off on going into the Navy, Army, Air Force, U.S. Marines. It is not your war. Okay, I done gave you the 21 corporations that run the United States. You are going in there losing your life, losing your mind for who? You know, these same capitalist bloodsuckers, Trump and his boys, Hillary and them, Obama and them. It ain't worth it. You got no patriotism in this damn corporation because you're not U.S. citizens by any genuine means. You've been frauded with that birth certificate and suckered into becoming a surety for an accommodation party to a U.S. citizen. Okay? You don't need no patriotism from this damn corporation. You need to go back to natural law, moral law, spiritual law, divine law, and ancient law. Go back to your God and get in on this movement of understanding that you have bonds on you. We need to start thinking collectively about these bonds, because, you know, I'm like King. I can't keep talking to these young brothers and I don't have nothing for them. These young brothers and sisters are royal and noble and wealthy beyond their wildest dreams, and we're not telling them that. They need something to do. They need a structure to give them something to do. And the only structure I can think about is a village, an indigenous village, a nationality where your wealth is there. We need to start working with each other and coming back together on who we are. We have no choice. Y'all don't need to be in these wars giving y'all miraculous energy to this beast. Especially you sisters. Y'all have no damn business in these wars, in these militaries. I know y'all hurting for opportunity. I know that. But that's all designed. But you better start changing your mind frequency, okay, and what wealth is and what money is. The shit they giving y'all in there is not wealth. I know y'all think y'all having fun in there, but you're not. You don't belong in them wars. You're gonna get yourself in something you don't understand. You sisters get in there, they raping you sisters. The damn chiefs are raping you. You ain't got to worry about, you know, no outsiders getting you. Who the hell you think is raping you? You know what I mean? The chiefs are raping you. The chiefs are raping you. Okay, when them young girls go in there in that military, man, they got dibs on who gonna rape you, who gonna go up in you. Okay, and this is the military structure. They got bets who gonna sexually penetrate you. Especially a little sexy little sister, fine sister. All y'all fine as hell. Young little sister, 19, don't know no better. Man, that recruiter sell your ass up the river. You ain't nothing but butt cheese. You booty. And you will be raped by a damn sergeant or whatever. And you gonna have to shut your mouth. See, that recruiter ain't gonna tell you that. So y'all have no clue what the hell you joining. How would you know? That recruiter gets a quota. You know, like selling cars, man. That little Negro recruiter is not gonna tell you the half of the story. I'm telling you now. He's selling you up the river. Same thing with you young brothers. You think that's what you want to do, but that's not what you want to do. So I reach out to y'all like King did. That, yo, find a way to stay the hell up out of there. And, you know, we working on some things. I know I'm working on something to try to reel y'all brothers in and give y'all something to do that can portray your skills and your royalty and your nobility. You all are majestic gods and goddesses. If you have never heard this, I'm telling you. You are majestic, you are noble, you are royal gods and goddesses serving the Most High God. It's a setup for you not to have nothing to do out here. All the money these devils spending, what King was saying, and still spending $60 billion. Trump just came in and spending $60 billion on military defense. And you young brothers supposed to be U.S. citizens, been here all your life. Running around here downtrodden, gotta sell CDs. Sisters gotta swing on the pole and sell their ass, you know, to make ends meet. Come on, man. That shit's got to go. That type of thinking's got to go. Okay, 2012 is here. It's a new way, a new day, but I know y'all need to see things manifest. Wealth need to be manifest. That's what I'm working on, because them bonds are real. There's a movement going on where people are moving on these Federal Reserve banks, and the U.S. Treasury is just a front, okay? If you can't get your money and your wealth, it's time to turn North America out. That's where I'm at. That's where we at. No more talking. You've been frauded. And now that you waking up, all of a sudden the Federal Reserve Bank's putting these voicemails that, you know, anybody trying to get in their bonds is fraudulent. That's bullshit. It ain't fraudulent. The Treasury got a bullshit disclaimer that people are putting in bogus site drafts. That's bullshit. Ain't nothing bogus. Okay? The Treasury is a front. You have no Treasury. You have no government. Okay? There's nothing bogus about trying to discharge these debts. That's what you're supposed to do according to House Joint Resolution 192. Okay, they set the shit up where the U.S. government's supposed to pay all these damn bills of these corporations, but they didn't want you to know that, and they've been double dipping. Now that you're waking up with 2012, now they're trying to shift the deal, shift the deck, and that ain't gonna work. It's time to throw down. It's time to deal with these people. They ain't gonna give you your wealth straight up, and then damn, it's time to take it back, take America back. And you young brothers and sisters, y'all are soldiers and warriors for your army, for your nation. That's what you need to start understanding. You don't need to be in a army snatching and taking land from brown-skinned people who look like you. That don't make no sense. And come back dying and psychologically fucked up. Okay? You know, the sister Joy Leary wrote the book Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome. Trauma is trauma. Y'all done been traumatized in these damn ghettos. And we still being traumatized with this damn gentrification, racist gentrification that they done turned up in all these major cities. Chicago, Baltimore, Flint, Michigan. They poisoning us out in the open, they poisoning the water and taking the land. All of a sudden they taking that land in Flint, Michigan for taxes. Come on, man. That's the Pope doing that shit. That's the Pope and his boys. All these major metropolitan cities are being gentrified as we speak. Harlem, as you know, is gentrified. Newark, New Jersey. LA, Atlanta, Richmond, everywhere I done moved. Baltimore being gentrified. You all want to have an idea what's going on in Baltimore? They got a new Baltimore Link system, which is bullshit. And it's gentrification also, racist gentrification. If you want to know for yourself, you know, there was an MTA hearing about 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago. They have a series of hearings to bullshit the people, but the people here ain't having it. So the spirit is moving in natural Asiatics. It's a divine time that we are finally feeling that somebody's doing something to us. All we got to do is come together and talk to each other. You find out that what they doing to you in Chicago, damn it, they doing to me here, and what they doing, it's global. It ain't just damn South Carolina, it ain't Chicago. We need to wake up and grow the fuck up. Okay, if you want to understand what they're doing in Baltimore with this new racist bus link. Somebody put an MTA hearing online, actually on YouTube, and I suggest you take a look at it. It's done in 6 parts. I'll give you the full name. All you got to do is put this in the YouTube search bar. But it's Maryland Transit Administration holds bogus public relations event to bullshit the people. Okay, once again, Maryland Transit Administration holds bogus public relations event to bullshit the people. And when you spell the word bullshit, use the percentage sign, don't use the word I. And that's done in 6 parts. You want to see how the people are responding and waking up. The people, in other words, the people took that sucker over. The people took it over. Okay? And the sisters spearheaded it. So the sisters are waking up. I'm proud of you sisters to wake up. You need to understand this war is against you. All wars kill women and children, and you know all life comes from the womb. So you need to get in. You need to get in on this thing and understand it's against you. You the prize piece on the chessboard, and stop hating the black man, so-called black man, so damn much, and find out that the black man is under damn threat to arrest and coercion like you are. We at war. We're both war victims, and the children. So it's time for us to grow up, man, and come to the table and really reconcile what done happened to us. You know, I ain't got no problem doing that. It's time for us to come back to who we are and learn how deep this rabbit hole goes, and you find out the so-called black man is not your problem. You know, I can't hate y'all. Y'all definitely don't want to hate y'all counterpart. That's y'all demise. So again, you look at that video and you'll see power to the people, how they took that sucker over and they ran that event. All right, and they made someone on the panel give up the information, but you see it for yourself. I ain't gonna spoil it for you, but it's done in 6 parts, about 12 minutes apiece. And people are waking up. Flint, Michigan, they poisoning. Baltimore, they doing gentrification. Them damn fake Jews are coming back. You know, the Watts riots when they killed King or whatever, that we threw down in all these major cities. I think 1967 or whatever it was. I know it was the 60s, but natural Asiatics threw down in one accord, even though it was misplaced anger and misdirected. We did throw down in anger, especially when they killed King. And this is what these white people fear, our anger. Okay, and these Jews picked up and ran out of these cities like Newark and all that. But they coming back to these cities, man. They coming to take these cities back. So understand that's what gentrification is. They want all these cities. They want niggas. They really want us dead. I'm gonna tell you that now, because a dead man makes no claim. You gotta understand. You got astronomical bonds on you, astronomical wealth, but you gotta learn the process, and you gotta make some affidavits and reclaim your wealth. Brother Taj Tariq Bey already told you it's all about an estate. Your body is a state. Your mind, body, and soul is an estate that they have stole and captured as war prize, booty. Bottom line, and this is what the Pope is doing on the planet, what he has done. That's what the New World Order is. People have no rights, no property rights. All right, and if y'all gonna fight for anything, this is worth fighting, because it's really not in the physical. It's in the metaphysical. It's in the spiritual. If you have to lose your flesh and blood body fighting, you're gonna be rewarded in the spirit world, because the fight ain't gonna end. We are spirits in the damn body. Okay, this vessel is just a fake out. Okay, you can only last so long in this vessel anyway. And they turning it up in this third dimensional form or this physical form, and trying to get you to shun the spiritual wealth for this body. And when they do that, you're gonna lose. The wealth is in the spiritual realm. All right, if this body got to go fighting these devils in this physical realm, it's worth it. Okay, the Creator gonna reward you in the spiritual realm, because that's where you got to go anyway. It's Judgment Day. What have you done when you was in this physical vessel? Like King said, you gonna shut your mouth in the time of a moral crisis. You gonna shut your mouth. Use the epitome of a damn hypocrite. That's what King told you in his speech. The hottest place in hell is for people who in the time of moral crisis shut their damn mouth. That's Negroes, because they want to go back to their job and the 401k and all that bullshit. Hypocrite Negroes, you got nothing to die for, you got nothing to live for. That man gave his life, I'm gonna tell you that now, King. And I don't see him as being Christian. That man grew nicely, and I can relate to his growth. And he gave his life for saying the truth. A lot of y'all ain't even trying, especially you so-called leechers, preachers. Y'all know what it is, man. Y'all got a place in hell. Hell ain't a physical place, it's a consciousness, man. Y'all conscience should be bothering y'all, but this is my conclusion in this particular monologue, man, that 2012 has ushered in an age of awareness. I acknowledge 2012, the Mayans and the Mayan calendar. I don't care what y'all say. Mayans are the descendant of the Olmecs, which are your ancestors, the She people, XI people, the most extravagant calendar systems on the planet. Okay, and you using stuff now from the Olmecs you don't even know that's from you. So I say to you, youth, hang in there and change your mind and start reading. Read something, read some books. Elevate any chance you can. If you listen to hip hop, listen to some conscious hip hop. Listen to something that's gonna elevate you. I downloaded some hip hop other day, old school. You know, get some KRS-One in you, a higher level. Okay, love's gonna get you. Okay, get some Kumo D up in you. Knowledge is king. That's old school. You need to understand how we did it when we started hip hop, knowing hip hop can raise a nation or break a nation. This other crap out here now, chicken and beer. What the hell is that? What kind of title is that for hip hop? Foolishness, man. Okay, I ain't trying to diss directly, but hey, if the shoe fits, then wear it. It's time for us to raise a nation and come back to who we are. It's time. We are the ones who we've been waiting for. Tell you things are coming back around to you young brothers and you sisters to rule. Y'all don't understand that. Rule or be ruled. It's a divine time. So, in my conclusion, sisters, get your mind right. You know, you influence the babies. Okay, the status of the mother is the status of the child. Okay, that should tell you what the children gonna do when you trifling as hell, or you got a trifling nigga with you. I see all this stuff, and I see that we play off each other. You got a little trifling Negro. He gravitates to, you know, sisters gravitate towards. It's like minds, it's like kinds. You got a little trifling, low frequency Negro. He gonna attract a little trifling, low frequency girl every time, and put her on dope and drugs. Man, I saw this little Negro selling his CDs. I hate to say Negro, but this brother selling his CDs, trying to get money. I can't knock that. But he got a sister out there with him on the corner selling CDs. Meaning she gonna gravitate towards you, brother. You can't come up and rise for that sister. You holding her back. You need to come up, bro, in a major way. And selling damn CDs ain't gonna cut it. You better look on the other side of your social security card and look at that private bond number and find out what the hell that is and break them words down and get you a law dictionary and grow the fuck up, young brother. Intellectually, grow up. Get you a law dictionary, get your American Collegiate Dictionary, and grow up. That private bond serial number is all your wealth in North America. You got to find out how to get it. It ain't gonna come and just jump in your plate. Even though there's a movement already doing that, you can speed it up by getting involved. Okay, this shit ain't gonna just come, even though it's our time to rise. Okay, ain't nobody gonna come. This thing ain't gonna happen overnight. We got responsibility in this thing. We got to come back and be responsible, sisters. Okay, I just watched that YouTube video. That Sister Tabitha Gentry versus the judge. I suggest you all see it. Tabitha Gentry is that sister who commandeered or put a claim on that damn $2 million mansion in Memphis, Tennessee. And this damn judge put her in jail damn 20 years. Nobody injured. She took a house from a damn corporation. What is she doing time for? That's the Inquisition. And you see that damn video where that sister tell this cracker, I don't want your fucking judge. The cracker's trying to force a damn British esquire on her. She said, I don't have a judge. And this cracker telling you will do what I tell you to do. You interrupt me one more goddamn time, I'll give you 20 more years. I mean, it's coercion. That's the mother of civilization they did that to. And I don't knock nothing she did. She did the right thing. I support her 100,000%. It's time to take this property back from these damn banks. Filthy ass banks. Merrill Lynch, Morgan Stanley, all them 21 corporations running that damn real estate market. It's time to take America back, you Moors. And I hold you Moors to a high self-esteem. You know who you are. You want to run around talking about Islam all day. What you gonna do? They scooping your women up, putting them in jail. You can't get that woman out. She bears the fruit. She's the mother of civilization, that cracker in that strong arm in her. Okay? Things got to change, man. We gotta get ready to fight, die, and kill for our women. Your women is your nation, man. So we got to put them on a pedestal, which will save us automatically. Yin and the yang. That's how I see it. That's how I bring it. That's why I hold you sisters to a high standard. It sounds like I'm criticizing, but it's tough love. Woman up. I know I got the man up. That's what I'm doing. You got the woman up. It ain't gonna work if you don't woman up. I tell you, the white man's using you as the proxy to uphold his bullshit. You better listen to you better get some videos by Mama Myra L. She told you this shit has got to go. And that's what King said. That's what Gaddafi said. Everybody's saying the same thing. The universe is moving on these devils. They don't have the most power in this universe. Their colonial weapons are coming down. That's why they resorting to their colonial weapons, shooting and killing brothers. But that's not gonna hold them. Okay, the universe is on their ass, especially Trump. You can see he weak because he's already wishy-washy. Now he's changing his tune. He's changing his tune. He still ain't denouncing this racist violence, but at least he's got him lying, saying it's so sad. That's a lie. He need to denounce the shit, which he won't do because he know he's spurring the shit on. So, once again, I'm in Rael. Hopefully you learned something. I'm in Rael again. I don't know how many of these I'm going to do. I only do them when the spirit moved me. Okay? And, you know, I got other things to do. I'm doing things as well. Always dealing with them bonds and all that because, you know, we need to deal with this stuff. We need to be multitasking. And we need to stop the bullshit and get in on what's taking place with our people, natural Asiatics. Remember, you are from Asia. They know who you are. Them devils messing with Asia is messing with you directly and indirectly. And Trump is forcing brown-skinned people to come together, whether it be Mexico, Asia, Africa. You are the missing link sitting here in North America being stuck on stupid. You know, looking at the damn New Jersey housewives and this garbage on TV. Judge Judy reruns. That bitch just made $95 million on that garbage. You know, we sleep. We sleep. Anytime she can make a cool $95 million on that bullshit. Acting. She can only do that when we sleep. When a cat is away, the mice will play. So it's time for the Lion of Judah to wake up. That's you. So 10 more minutes in this broadcast, but I'm going to wrap it up. But again, hopefully you learned something. It's on. People are dead now from that rally in West Virginia. Dead. They ain't coming back. I suggest you take a good look at that. Some cracker rammed his car into some people. They was throwing blows out there. I'm talking about they was throwing down out there. This is white on white. Now what do you got? What you doing up in there? Your natural Asiatic behind up in the middle. Unless you got a nation down there, you don't belong down there. So you better be careful where you go. Watch where you step. North America is lawless, and everything is happening, and you're gonna see more to come. But these suckers are trying to fight what they can't. They're trying to stop what they can't stop. Everything's coming back around in natural Asiatics to rule, but you need to understand that. And you young people, I hold y'all in high self-esteem. I'm talking to y'all directly. Don't get in no box, no Christian box, no Muslim box. Understand you are 90% of this earth. You are royal, you are noble. You have the parent genes, you're not the child genes. If it wasn't for you and your ancestors, this man, you civilized this cracker. And they know who you are. They're scared of y'all. Y'all got a lot of energy. You sisters, you are goddesses, you're beautiful. You all definitely got a lot of power, a lot of feminine power. If you understand it, it's time for y'all to know who y'all are. You know what I'm saying? I saw a young sister, I knew she was Christian, most of them are, but she was wearing the snake god around her neck. Okay? That shows you she's dabbling in other things other than that Christianity. That's a wonderful thing. And me and her sat there and had some good dialogue about the snake god being Amaru and Quetzalcoatl. So she's dabbling in other sciences, Buddhist science, which is good, Hindu science. All that's us. Okay, don't get in no Christian box. We're deeper than that. I done told you our genetics. We have the parent genes, they have the child genes. That's all you need to know. It's time for the parent to come back around and rule and get these wicked ass children back in check. We had to do it. We didn't did it before. We got to do it again now. We got to restore the law. The law is in you, melanin-rich people with a certain DNA. But we ain't only fighting beings on this earth. I'm gonna tell you that now. This shit is turned up to the cosmos. There's other beings in this damn thing, evil beings. So you definitely got to get your mind around that and get metaphysical. So once again, I'm in Rael. I'm going to sign off, and please listen to Martin Luther King's speech, I think it was 62, of why he opposed that war in Vietnam, and you'll see the same exact conditions persist today. Young people, stay out this crackers war. It ain't for you. Find something to do and search for some knowledge, because you're wealthy out here. We just got to manifest it and bring it to y'all, but that's what I'm working on. But hold on before you run into that military and get drafted and get bullshit in there. Because once you get in there, they're gonna vaccinate you, and you sisters, they're gonna sterilize you. They don't want you to have no babies. Understand that when you get in there. And then you're gonna want to get out. Then they're gonna blacklist you and blackball you trying to get out. I'm telling you it's mafia. Okay? And when you get raped by one of them chiefs, you're gonna have to keep your mouth shut and have one of his babies. Who you gonna be able to tell? When they're the ones raping you. Same thing with you younger brothers. You get in there, you're gonna find out you done made a deal with the devil. Get your mind right, get your head right, get your status right. Read every chance you get. And elevate. That's the gospel. That's the good news I bring. Elevate. That's the salvation I know. Elevation. Good news, good spell. Gospel is good spell. That's a good spell I got for you. Good spell of elevation. Once again, Amen Ra'el. Glad to speak to you and say some words once again. I don't know how long that's going to last, but, I do what I can when I can. But once again, keep your third eye open. Free the land. Power to the people. Elevate. Radiate. Amen Ra'el. I'm out.